Good evening and welcome, one and all, to this very special edition of Pacific414 Pop Talk, where we won't be reading any articles. You won't hear me butchering Japanese names. You won't hear me talking about any video games or movies. However, tonight we are talking about a television series available on Netflix, and it's called Arcane League of Legends, based on the League of Legends video game.
I thought we weren't
Now,
talking about video games.
well, we're talking about a show based on a video game, but we're not specifically talking about that game.
Okay.
So, the other night, as I'm talking to Paul and Barrett and Crit and Cash, we're having a nice conversation, and they start watching Arcane League of Legends, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? This is a damn good show.
Yeah.
So we go to the next episode. Okay, it's not dropping off. Then we go to the third episode. And for anybody who's been to the channel, 3 episodes is my limit. Either I'll continue with the show after the third episode, or I'll say, no mas. Well, I watched the third episode. I'm going, I want more. I want more of this. So Crit and I, we're talking, and he says he wants to talk about it sometime on Pop Talk. And I'm thinking, how would you feel about doing this on Wednesday? Instead of me looking for different articles, let's talk about something positive for a change. Something that'll get everybody's attention as far as what TV shows you should be watching. Because we're all looking for a TV show to watch. And we're all tired of all this negative content that makes us all angry, makes us all mad. Going, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Why is it pushing this message? Why is it pushing that message? No. This show doesn't force it in your face. It has a little bit of it, but it's not forced in your face. And as the episodes go on and you learn about these characters, you begin to care about these characters and why they're doing what they're doing. So, yesterday I made the announcement that we were going to be talking about Arcane on tonight's Pop Talk. And Joker Voice said that he had watched Pop Talk. So I asked him, I said, you want to be a part of the panel? He said yes. So Joker Voice is with us tonight.
Hello.
Lord Crit is with us tonight. Master Paul
Hello.
is with us tonight.
Yes.
And of course, Baron Orman Tag is
Now,
with
we're
us
going to
tonight.
be watching this together. We were all going to be watching this together. So what happens the other day? We sit down and go, hey, let's start going. He goes, that guy, that Mike, he goes, I have a confession to make. I sat and I binge watched the rest of it.
I did. It's that good. It's that good. I was going, I need to go to bed.
Mhm.
What does my brain do? No, you need to watch more of this show. You need to keep watching. So I did. I kept watching. And it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of how it was when I first saw it with Crit, because I watched it with Crit the whole way through, and Crit will attest to it. After every episode, is like, let's watch another one. This is great. Let's watch another one.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it at work. For those of you who don't know, I'm a graveyard shift the bartender in Las Vegas. So I work midnight to 8 a.m. So as you can imagine, I have a lot of free time. So I started watching this. I had heard something about it. I'm like, okay, League of Legends, that's a video game. I don't know anything about it, but it said animated. I'm like, okay, let me take a look because I love animation. The animation on this is next level amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Oh, yeah.
so good. And like you said, is there some the messaging in it? Yeah, but it doesn't shove it down your throat. And as you know, I do have a little friend who went through a little bit of a transformation where she just lost her mind. The transformation from Powder to Jinx is just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautifully tragic.
And
Yeah.
loved and I want more of it. I want more Jinx. I want more and more and more and more and more and more Jinx. For nothing else, a bazooka shark. Come on now.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
obviously, a guy by the name of Joker Voice would like a girl who's like Harley.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah.
So, Crit, let me ask you, as the one who's introduced at least some of us here on the panel to Arcane, what was it about the series that drew you to it?
Well, I had heard you gotta watch Arcane, and I hate League of Legends. I hate that game with passion. I never cared, but like, um, I looked at I saw the trailer, and I'm like, oh, this actually looks good. And then I actually watched the series. I don't know, like, I fell in love with it almost the first frame. Now at first the modern there's some modern music in it that turned me off, but you know what? I just got through it. You know, it is more for young adults. It uh so I found that, so I gave that a pass. I know Paul has some issues, but um I was blown away by the first 3 episodes. Now, when this first came out, they released 3 episodes a week. So you would have to wait the next week for the next set of episodes. So the first 3 episodes, I was blown away because I did not expect what was going to happen in episode 3. But, you know, and I got a copy of this show. This show is not in 4K on Netflix, but someone upscaled it, and then they sent me that. You could see every detail from the painting. This is the one me and Baron and Pacific watched on my stream, my UHD copy of Arcane, and this is this isn't just this isn't just oh, someone, I hear
A buzzing.
a buzzing, a
I hear it
mosquito.
too.
Yeah.
No, it's a cat.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
And he's purring.
This wasn't just next level. This was, I don't know how to describe it. Like every frame, like I've seen this at least 3 times. So 3-4 times. I've seen this multiple times. I notice something new every time. From the sounds to the frames, like you pause it, you could say it's a painting, but there's like symbolism. Like this was, and then I watched the behind the scenes series, which you can watch on YouTube. It's free. Every frame, every idea was thought out. And I also found out that they painted every frame of this show, texture-wise. They painted all the textures and stuff.
Wow.
Like actual painting.
That's impressive.
And this is not a American studio. This is a French studio, although it is an American company. So it's kind of, it's written by Americans, but it's made by the French. So
still an impressive feat.
It took them 6 years to do this too, by the way.
I don't doubt it now after hearing that. I mean, like I said, I love animation, and this is some of the most beautiful animation I have seen.
It is.
And Baron, what were your thoughts when you were watching the first 3 episodes?
Oh boy. I was amazed at Crit's love of Imagine Dragons. That's the first thing. I mean, he was regaling with his love of Imagination Dragons through the whole.
like
Same as how he did for me.
Yeah, but you know, I was told, of course, the first episode. I was being warned constantly. You know, don't worry. You know, the first episode is going to be slow and all that. You know, whatever. I said, I don't care. As long as it's delivering a story, as long as it's delivering something that has a reward as you build up. And boy, didn't it? And just the first opening scenes with the, and it's not going to be, a spoiler here by saying, but the little revolution they had on the bridge with the flames and the fire,
Mhm.
and the statues that look like something out of Warhammer 40K almost. It's like, wow, what's this? And then you have that pan up, and you see the halves, and where you're with the have-nots,
Mhm.
and the adoption. It's like, we're starting out here with classic mythology, classic folklore storytelling here.
Mhm.
And yes, it's a tragedy. Think of the Greek tragedy. Think of even with Norse, with their tragedies that they'd have with their sagas. And it was refreshing to see this. Like, someone knows how to write is basically the first thing that came to my mind. And it's like someone knows how to do animation, because look at the animation that we've been getting through these last years from the studios out there. I mean, the animation has been garbage. The story's been garbage. I mean, what was it, when they
I
did that She-Ra? It was like that with the California style animation and all
I
that.
Mhm.
will
Just
I will disagree with you on one thing because I am a huge fan of the Clone Wars. I think
oh.
that animation is amazing.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
I'm not talking about the Clone Wars. I'm not talking about the Clone Wars. I'm talking about the She-Ra, where they're doing that,
Oh, Motu,
almost like yeah,
yeah.
that childish
which is
looking.
Like Steven in the
which is
Universe,
which is
Amazing World of Gumball, things
Yeah,
like that.
which is weird because the studio that the Motu is Powerhouse, which did Castlevania, which is gorgeous.
right. And it's like, you remembering the series how it was in the '80s, and it's like, this is a downgrade. You're supposed to be doing an upgrade for
Mhm.
animation style, and it's like you're not. I kind of gave this analogy, back when Snow White came out.
Ooh,
Of course, there was animation in that time, but this was so groundbreaking. You have actually an animated, fully animated film in
long
color,
form, long
yeah,
form.
long form, and how that, and of course, look at, even today, look at how the animation was done, and it's breathtaking. This is the same thing for us, and it's like wasn't for the movie theater. This is for television. We're
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
used to seeing this great animation for a TV series. It's usually budgeted down, and let's if we need to play the stuff over and over again. Like when you watch the Flintstones, they're walking along, it's the same background going by all the time. And the nuances, just simple nuances they have with the characters, like just brushing back. It's I forgot I was watching an animated shows a few times because of how the animation was done, the movements of the characters were done, the look of the characters, and of course
Hmm.
how everything synced so well. And yeah, like Rick was saying, it's like looking at moving art.
Right.
This is moving art, and anyone who I have to sit back and say there, people out there are giving the pass. I've been hearing because of League of Legends or whatever. Forget that. Drop that. If you don't like the game tough, forget about that.
Right.
If you don't know anything about League of Legends, don't worry about that. This is story.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
if you hate League of Legends, fine. You're gonna love this though. If you if you don't know anything about League of Legends, you don't have to. It doesn't have to matter. Everything explains itself in this, and yeah, it was slow building up, but it was also doing that. The first three episodes, it was doing that cyclic storytelling where it was coming back again, and you're starting to see things from different aspects. That you had the classic Hebrew style storytelling that you have. And then, we're just talking about the first three episodes with this one, so I'm not going to go beyond that. But it was always interesting to take to see how things were coming from those three perspectives through the stories. And yeah, you're getting the story
Uh,
retold to you a bit, but you're getting more information. It's rewarding.
I
And
thought
I
we're talking about the whole show.
Yeah, we are talking about the whole series.
Oh, we're talking about the whole series. Okay, I
Okay.
thought we were
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about the
yeah, yeah,
whole.
yeah.
No,
I thought we were just
I
the
was
series.
mistaken because I thought he was doing it that night, and I.
Okay. See,
No,
that's
no, no.
Mhm.
That night I told you guys I was gonna get everything prepped up for today,
oh,
and
okay, sure, okay, no
and then
problem.
and then some something else with and with that you need for a good animated series is a cast, and
Right.
which they're not acting. It's just their voice, and I gained a lot of respect for Haley Steinfeld because
Mhm.
I had seen her in the Hawkeye series, and she was okay for what they gave her to do.
Mhm.
But hearing her act through Vi and make this character come alive, the girl can act her ass off. I'm just
Mhm.
saying.
Well, yeah, that's what Crit and I were talking about was the fact that they're getting real voice actors instead of grabbing someone who's a Hollywood actor going in there. And,
Uh-huh.
and, and this is not a slight against a Hollywood actor. They're great, but they're more used to the full expression of stuff. It really takes something special to go in there and do the inflections and doing the voice work and working that way, which a lot of Hollywood actors don't know. I mean, obviously you have a few that do cross over, like Mark Hamill and a few of the others, but when you have there we go, yeah. You have, but when you get down to it, when you have a good voice cast, it's just like the silent films. Why silent film stars weren't able to get over the talkies? They were used to doing the over exaggeration, and some of them didn't even have the voice to be able to do it. The
and
same thing with
and
doing animation.
and I know it's been a few days out, and I know a lot of folks have talked about it, but pour one out for Kevin Conroy.
Yes.
Indeed. But to your point, Baron, what you were saying about the quality of the voice actors,
Mm-hmm.
it's important to note that part of the reason the voice actors have to be as good as they are is that the emotion and the inflections in the voice oftentimes dictate what the animation becomes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because the voice track is done first,
Mm-hmm.
and then they animate based off of that.
Mhm.
Right. And which, of course, sometimes you have to be rigid to the script, but if sometimes there's something you go off script with it, it's good. They'll keep it. Or maybe you're doing an inflection or doing the role a little bit different than what the animators thought. They go, "Oh, this is let's go." It's a harmonious sync. They got to work together. That's why the director really has to be on his toes when it comes around to listening to the voice and working with the animation team
Correct.
and making sure those two things come meshing together. But
Yep,
yeah, I mean, oh, go Mike.
And real quick, guys, before we continue on, I do want to acknowledge everybody who's in the chat or who was in the chat. I don't want
Mhm.
anybody to think I'm ignoring them. First, I want to say good evening to Stephen Ransom, who says, as the clock ticks toward this topic, I prepare for greatness.
And thank you, by the way, Stephen, for subscribing to me.
And, of course, our resident troll of not just my channel, not just Paul's
Release
channel,
the McCracken.
not just
He's
crits,
everywhere.
not just Barons, Phil McCracken, who says, "Ding dong, yo, ding dongs. I and Crit doesn't get any snowballs." He said the same thing last night during Tuesday Night Trek.
I know.
Yeah, but that was
Billy,
about
you're gonna
cash. I
have to
thought.
explain that to us.
Yeah.
I don't like snowballs, so I'll take the ding dongs.
And we also have the old man who says, "Now is the time for fun." And
Yeah.
of course, we have the clown prince of crime himself, Joker voice.
That would be me.
You're in the panel.
I know.
It doesn't bother me.
I know.
I am everywhere.
And of course, Jet Sparks is here. Thank you,
Hey,
Jet
Jet
Sparks.
Sparks.
We also have Brandon Looney Tunes
Brandon!
Fan 2000.
What's up, buddy?
And anyone else pop up in the chat?
And by the way, Brandon is getting close to that coveted 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you're not subscribed, not subscribed, hop on over and give him a sub.
Yep. Hover your mouse cursor over his name. You should see the 3 dots. You should get the option to go to his channel and subscribe.
Dot.
So let's continue on with this great discussion on Arcane, a series I never thought I would watch.
Right?
I mean, I never heard of it until that night.
I said I gotta show you. I said, you know what, Baron? I think you'd like Arcane. You're like, oh, okay, I'll show me. Like,
oh yeah, sure.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I will say, because my hatred for Imagine Dragons knows no bounds, and whenever I hear the song "Enemy," when it's not in the intro of this amazing show, I absolutely can't stand the song. But you throw on the animation of the intro, and I'm like, okay, I'm fine with it. Mm-hmm. And did they really have to put them in a little montage?
That's my only gripe with this show. That's my only gripe.
Absolutely unnecessary.
This show is a 10 out of 10. I won't give it, but that episode of
yeah, at least it was a small part of it.
Thank God.
It wasn't like they just say, "Hey, we're going to join along with," like Scooby Doo and the gang, you know.
Scooby Dooby Doo.
I mean, I could even say myself, I only like 2 of their songs, but I don't like the band as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
As far as my opinions on Imagine Dragons, not enough of this. Too much synthesized stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Well, Paul's a snob when it comes to that.
I am very much a snob.
Alrighty.
I'm right there with Paul, though. I'd rather hear actual instruments being played.
Oh, yeah.
It just sounds better. It's like a movie score when you can hear the actual orchestra for that movie score playing instead of it being artificially created. It sounds so much better.
Kenobi.
And, Stefan Ransom is absolutely right. The facial expressions they have, even the minor nuances with, as you're watching, sometimes you want to watch it again because you want to start seeing the subtle nuances of everything that's going on, because usually in an animated film, they're usually just static except for the face. But this is like you're watching a full, that's why I got lost. It's like it felt like I was watching a real, something that wasn't animated, because just the constant movement of everything and just everything beautiful about it. And another thing I have to sit back and say is, of course, it's steampunk, and steampunk sometimes has a tendency to get carried away with all the punkness of it. They're walking out there with all these gadgets. Everybody's walking around with all these gadgets and all that. And no, it felt natural. It felt real. It felt like this was a real world, not one of these over the top cosplaying.
Steampunk is what happens when goths discover earth tones.
Here. And so that was one of the things that's really nice about it, that it was, they made it realistic, and there was a world building. It felt like a real world you were in, even though you're experiencing basically 2 cities only in this world. But still, the richness, even within the 2 societies, the many layers that the 2 societies had within each other. It was not just one of my big complaints, like with Star Trek and all that, is like when you see the Klingons, all they are is, we are honor. There's nothing else. We're just warriors. It's like, well, what about the rest of your society? They're just so monodimensional. They have the blinders on that, this is how it is, and there's hardly anything else.
Closest thing to that we've ever seen with the Klingons was the last episode we covered, Heir to the Throne in TNG, where we see the Klingon religion and how they worship Kalis.
Mm-hmm. Right. And a long time coming. So it's so nice to see that world character, even within the organizations, almost like, might as well call it like a steampunk godfather when it comes around to Sokol, and everything that's going on with that.
Silco, I thought he was an amazing character.
Oh
yeah,
Silco was great. For some reason, he reminded me of David Tennant for some reason.
You remind me of Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Mhm.
that's kind of the vibe I got from it too.
Yeah,
He-
that was
Like Peter
He's such a
Cushing meets
great
Johnny Depp.
calculating villain.
mhm.
Right. Which, but is he? Yes, he's a villain. But what he really wants is just he wants his own. He wants the city of Zon to be autonomous. I mean, is that really a bad thing?
I think it's about how he was going about it. And
Right.
exactly.
Right.
And
I think-
not only that is, if he got his control, what would he be like as the ruler too? The vibes I was getting was a cross between Tarkin and Thrawn.
Okay.
If you had Peter Cushing playing Thrawn,
Okay.
and it's like, uh, and the manipulations he was doing, yeah, he's a villain, but who else were kind of villainish in there? Some of the people on that council on the other side
Mhm.
were
God,
villainous.
yes.
Oh yeah.
There's
Uh,
There's no one. There was no one who is. There's no one who is pure in
right.
this show.
I wouldn't say it's Powder's fault. Everyone's the fault.
Right.
Uh,
Well,
But-
as I sat back and said, the whole thing started off. The domino got started. It was Vi. If you want to sit back and go to who started this whole rigmarole, was Vi, because she went above and beyond her station to do the robbery against the wishes of her adopted father. Because why? She wanted to
Prove something.
impress him. Yeah,
Right.
prove something. And
Yeah.
then, of course, the same thing with Powder. She's doing the same thing with Vi. So it's like boom, 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 boom. If they did not do that original robbery, they would not be in the situation they're in.
Right.
I'm not saying things would have been better or they would have been worse, but this situation would have happened.
This show is so quotable. I got some quotes here. When people look up to you, you don't get to be selfish. You say run, they run. Say swim, they dive in. You say light a fire, they show up with oil. But whatever happens, it's on you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's the father figure. I forget his name.
Vander.
Vander.
Yeah.
Yes. Vander. Another great character. But
Oh,
again, But again, the morally gray.
Mm-hmm.
He is probably the most pure-hearted character of the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
And once that moral compass is taken off the table, then it really turns.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how he has grown. You can kind of tell what he was and what he grew into just by, the first episode and the big fight, and then what people were saying about him before and after. I'm not going to say anything more. I don't know. I don't know if I want to spill that. But the thing is you can tell he grew a little bit. He got wiser.
Because if I remember correctly, Vander and Silco were once like ideologically aligned.
Mm-hmm.
I
Brothers.
think
They were like brothers.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you started seeing various things where things were replaying. Silco taking in Powder, and then of course now you're my daughter type of thing, and then
that scene where he brings her in and she's crying.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's a beautiful scene.
Right.
It's just so many of these scenes just are heartstrings, and I'm just like, oh, God damn, this is good storytelling.
And not only that, you see there's a heart.
Yes.
That he has a heart.
Right.
Yes.
And I found out if you're a fan of the games, they make so many references to Vander is actually a character. Hold on, I gotta bring up Vander's picture.
but just look at that. But look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that shot. Just the scope of that.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely brilliant.
Closest thing I've ever seen to that in anything else animated was in Howl's Moving Castle.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, that is absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would hang that on my wall.
This is Baron.
You put that in a
animated.
frame and paint it on your wall and
Mm-hmm.
be proud of it.
Hell yeah.
Yep, this is Baron animated. So.
It might be.
But
You really want to
video
beat up the
game-
guy who pours your drinks?
No, you really don't. Trust
Nope.
They make hints to this character because in the video game, Vander's actually a character called what's it? Let me see. What was it?
I know you told me this once.
I think I did, and you didn't believe me.
Mhm.
You're still thinking.
I don't believe anybody.
Well, I'll just say it's a wolf character. But they make so many references. They call him the Hound of the Undercity, and
Mm-hmm.
and then there's some, and then once in a while you'll hear a howling when he's on screen. It's there's so much symbolism in this show. It's like, and that doesn't have to connect to, the. It doesn't have to connect to the video games, but it's nice details like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the best video game. We can agree this is the greatest video game adaptation.
I do.
I agree.
Animated, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Actually,
really.
you know what? Yeah, I do agree. Full stop. I think number 2 would probably be the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, but this is far better.
yeah.
Well, the
Not
big thing is,
Not even the same league. Not even the same league.
well,
I
the big.
But
the other big production aside from Sonic was Halo, and we can all agree that was a pile of crap.
Well, I think the big thing about this is even though they're staying true, to what the mythology of the game was, they didn't feel themselves to be forced to. Okay, we got to have this element and show this element to keep people appeased. No, the important thing is to have the storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
and we're telling the story. And if something from the game happens to come into it, it's going to be coming in natural. We're not going to force it. We're not going to go, hey, see, we're doing fan service like Disney and all the other ones doing with, hey, we got your member berries here. Member? I member.
Yeah.
You member?
I think that's
Yep,
a big,
dangling the keys.
I think that's a big reason why so many adaptations get held back because they need that nostalgia instead of
Right.
making-
I mean, I'd never heard of this until I saw it. I was scrolling on Netflix, and I'm just like, okay, let me take a look at this. And I saw the opening thing, and then the flashback to the bridge where it also, and I'm like, oh, okay. Let's just see what this is like, and damn.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, I didn't know anything about League of Legends. I still have. Well, I tried.
I still know
playing it
nothing
once,
about
but just
League of
didn't
Legends.
get into it. But I got into this show way more than I thought I would, and I'm glad I watched it. Can't wait for
Season 2. I know,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
My big hope is, and I'm just crossed after watching this all the way through, and now we're, it ends cliffhanger. I mean, no spoiler, but it's going to be ending with a cliffhanger. I pray to God.
Bazooka Shark!
Bazooka Shark. I love Bazooka Shark. I pray to the Lord above, please have Netflix not decide to get in there and start telling them what to do. And the people who are doing this remember what they've been doing all along. I'm assuming they've been working on this just as long, because if this took 6 years, they must have been just continuing on and working on this because of all the hard work that's being done.
Well,
And I don't.
might have been.
And considering Netflix just recently fired their entire DEI department, that may be a good sign.
It's a very good sign.
Time out. What is the DEI apartment?
Diversity, equity, inclusion.
Oh,
Yep.
ESG type stuff.
got it.
The things that's been destroying
The woke.
everything.
The woke.
Yeah. And Crit and I were talking. He said, "Well, there's a good woke." It's like, no, there's a big difference between and of course, I'm not getting down on Crit here because we agreed what we're talking about here. That
Ooh,
the woke
sure.
is basically just walking out there and forcing something on you and say you
Right.
gotta like this or else.
Right.
This as I can't remember who was saying beforehand or whatever about well, this has got strong women in it and you don't like strong women. No, we love strong women. We always have. That's
Right.
why you have Wonder Woman as a superhero. That's why you have Ripley in Aliens and Aliens. That's why you have Sarah Connor. The growth of Sarah Connor from a waitress to being a badass kick-ass. Princess Leia, talk about they're strong. We love strong characters.
Except in Obi-Wan. That show was abomination.
I don't know what you're talking about. I never
Okay.
heard of it.
Okay.
Well, I thought we were talking about Arcane.
Okay, so but yes. So you've got these. So you've got two female leads. I mean, this is clearly a female-led show, a female-led story, and then you got two that go, and it's a great story. You got the estranged. You got the sisters who become estranged. Maybe they come back, but no, Jinx is too far gone, and actually Vi is too far gone to ever reconcile that gap. And so now you've got two sisters who love each other, but they're enemies.
Yeah, they both have that emotional damage.
Right.
I mean, just like
what's happening around them.
You have the clip, don't you?
Of what?
You have the emotional damage clip, don't you?
No.
Emotional damage.
Nice.
Right, and the thing is, it's not going out there going, "Hey, look, we got women doing it. Isn't that great? Look at us. We're the pandering stuff." And even though they're punkish, they look like women.
Oh, come on, 1999. Get on with the times, old man.
And as I said,
prequels were 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
I would like that clip, even though I've not seen that movie.
Yeah.
So as I was saying,
with us, young man.
So as I was saying, yes, there is messaging in the story, but every story has messaging of some form or another.
Yeah.
It's just not shoved down your throat. It's not female.
Right.
Diversity. It's the story of the world is allowed to naturally just develop and grow organically, and it all makes sense. That's and even
and even in this fantastical world, believable.
Yes.
I mean, and that's the most important thing. Is it believable? Whether it was brothers or sisters or a brother and sister, it doesn't matter. Is it believable? Are these characters something you can relate to? Yes, men can relate to these characters.
That now,
do I believe that there is a young girl who tinkers now with things? Yes. Yes.
Well, I've said this about the show, that with animation, characters that are female usually aren't attractive as they were back then.
Yeah.
I think even, say, a really mannish, well, I wouldn't say manly, more like a tomboy character like Vi, all the characters in the show are attractive.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna say the Jinx cosplay world is something that is very nice to behold. I mean, yes, I'm male gaze for it. I'm here for it. Bring me more.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, what about some of the other characters like Jace?
Jace is a great character.
The Victor. Victor was dying while Jace was having the time of his life in bed, and
that little furry old council
Heimerdinger.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
he was great.
Yeah.
Great.
He was.
And it was absolutely wonderful about that character is you're seeing a different growth with his. We understand he's how many hundreds of years old, which means there's a different concept of time. He doesn't understand the short lifespan of the average human being.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh, we got time. We got time. No, we don't have time. And then when he's finally seeing what conditions are, he starts understanding now because he's been sheltered so long in his bubbled world. Now he sees something, and you even see growth with that character. Every character is growth, whether it's good
Mhm.
or bad.
Right.
Nobody is stagnant in here unless they're no longer with us,
Right.
in one fashion or another.
That
But
little
there's
kid, that little kid who does the Sky Raiders.
Echo.
Echo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And real quick, guys, we have a special guest joining us because he would like to talk about the series as well. Please welcome Stephen Ransom.
Stephen
Wow.
Ransom.
Hello, gentlemen. Hello,
Oh,
gentlemen.
Hello.
And
your fingers got tired, huh?
you know what? I would have been more than happy to stay in the chat the whole night. Pacific was generous enough to send me a DM with the link, and as
Welcome.
my first offer to the panel, Lord, I apologize. I'm an old school Star Wars fan. The prequels were a noble effort, but
The prequels are just fine.
I have some major issues with
The
some of
prequels
the
are just-
Watch the
internal
fan
on it.
edits. Watch
We're
the
not
fan
saying the
edits.
prequels are
That-
perfect.
That's
The
all.
prequels-
That's
the-
all well and good. That's all.
Just
well
watch
and
the Phantom edit. You can watch the one
Hey-
Jar Jar list movie.
Hey, Mike, next
The
week,
prequels are
all of
just-
us together talking about Star Wars and the prequel series. How's that sound?
I am there. I am there for that. I am unironically there for that.
Well, I actually have some bad news. I'm gonna say it now. I'm gonna say it now. There's not gonna be a Pop Talk next Wednesday. I'm gonna review the season finale of Chucky next Wednesday. I
Oh,
figured
okay.
with it being Thanksgiving week and everybody's being with their families,
I'm
would-
Wookie.
Mike, you're the
was
biggest
good
turkey of us all now.
to move along home.
Out of the Moraine, 1, 2, 3.
Just to jump on
I had to
board.
work it in there somehow. Pacific.
Yeah. We'll get to it. Steven, go ahead, brother.
Just to jump on board with where you guys are currently at. I watched this when it first started happening, and I'm an old school fan of animation. I'm a 2D forever, 100% kind of guy. I believe in 2D over 3D every day of the week, and I mean 3D by live action. Okay, I have seen two-dimensional animation succeed at generating whole universes with very little effort. When Batman animated series came along,
Amazing.
my mind was completely blown.
Mhm.
I thought we were entering a new age, and for a while we were. But it all went downhill really fast, and Arcane resurrected my understanding of what a Western animation team could really do.
Yeah.
This show, I mean, I lined up to watch EFAP bring their skills to bear, going over every frame of this movie, and to hear them just gaping at the quality level of storytelling, the internal gratification of every single key moment being brought to fruition, being paid off. Every single character had their levels of jeopardy. The universe was dire and consequential.
There were stakes involved.
There were stakes. There were gigantic stakes, and they all paid off. Every single one of
character
them
had
paid off.
definitive wants and needs.
Right. Yeah. And is it Steven or Stefan? Oh, my apologies.
You know what? Online, I accept both.
Okay.
Generically, I've been called Stephen Ransom.
Okay. I'll go. Okay, Steven's okay because I live. I know the difference with the PH and the S and all that, so I thought I'd ask. But you're absolutely right. No, when we had like in the late '90s with the X-Men series, you had of course the Batman animated series. You had the Superman
Also,
animated
this show
series.
that Mike has his avatar of.
Well, I'm talking about that second kind of golden age because you had the Transformers in GI Joe and all that He-Man that was starting,
80s.
and then it led into the second age that we had in the of there.
That
which
was that was more the so you had Batman, Superman, the Justice League Unlimited. That was all that. That was all. That was all Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. And then you had the X-Men series in the same year, and then you actually had some good Disney stuff with the Disney afternoons. You had DuckTales, you had Chippendale, you had Tailspin, you had Darkwing Duck. So,
and let's not forget Gargoyles.
Gargoyles that was great.
Yeah. And you had other little hidden gems like Galaxy Rangers and a few other stuff like that had great animation. It just didn't last long. But when I think we can agree when the CW started fell apart and we lost all that and they became the WB fell apart and became CW, and then Fox decided they didn't want to go their way, so we didn't have X-Men and the Tick and all that good stuff. That's when it basically started dying again. That's where we went into that wasteland.
Let's also not forget something that gets left out of this entire thing because it was on at midnight on HBO. Spawn.
Yeah. And all fairness to all of the Pinky and the Brains and the Animaniacs and Ren and Stimpy and SpongeBob. Don't get me wrong. God bless those studios for producing those works. They were absolute genius. But there has been a serious lack of mature, action-filled storytelling in 2D animation for quite a long time.
Absolutely.
I miss the authentic seriousness that Batman the Animated Series, Justice League, and even Teen Titans, the original run, brought to bear on this material. Those shows just knocked it out of the friggin' ballpark.
Now, I will say that I am very much partial to Pinky and the Brain and the animated.
So was I. And let's not forget Rick and Morty, too, because there were episodes of Rick and Morty that destroyed me emotionally.
Mostly because I personally know Rob Paulson and Jess Harnell, so I'm a little partial there. That's
understandable. And real quick, gentlemen, we do have another panelist who's been patiently waiting backstage.
Is it him?
What the hell are you talking about? Oh, my guidance counselor says that certain words perpetuate this sexist worldview that could trigger.
Quiet! From now on, you won't listen to your guidance counselor. You're going to listen to me. Is that understood?
Yes, Sensei.
Mike, what is this, Mike? I told you before I was never going to work with that guy again. I'm out of here.
It's cash money. Oh, he's got cash.
Yep, I got
join the avatar.
That's right.
It's my sister.
So,
we got Jinx Godzilla now.
Stephen, in many ways, you're really right, though, was when we're getting the adult entertainment in many ways, it was tongue-in-cheek and spoof, like the Venture Brothers, or Archer, or,
Animaniacs.
Animaniacs. Well, I'm talking about the mature things, something like that we have here. Whereas
Venture Brothers was insanely good.
Dude.
Insanely good. But enough of the lampoon. I mean, Arcane brings it to a maturity level.
Right.
That you want to talk about in all audiences, full stop. This show, there are 60 and 70-year-old men crying over this show. It's so good. And talk about best villain ever brought to television in a Western show. He's amazing.
He is. And that's what's so great. I mean, we were getting the adult animation, but a lot of it was the tongue-in-cheek and humor. It's nice to see something serious like this. And there's humor in there. There is humor in there, but it's not forced, and it's not the basis of it all. It makes the universe even more believable.
And Cass, what are your thoughts?
Remember, even going back to some of the other shows, which still bothers me to this day, is Tron Uprising had it actually had consequences, and then Disney killed it. It was such a dang good show. Yeah.
Who let the dogs out? Boo.
So, Cash, when it comes to Arcane, what are your
Arcane
first
is-
thoughts?
Oh, well, my first thoughts is when the show actually started becoming good for me was when I saw Jinx, where Powder, this annoying character Powder, I wanted to throw her in the river every time I saw her. Shut up, lady. Shut up, little girl. But when she became Jinx, it was more like a Harley Quinn type character. She may be a little bit crazier than Harley Quinn, but that's when the show really started taking off more for me. Then we got Caitlyn, and then the relationship with Jinx and Caitlyn, and I just
Yummy.
started liking
Jinx and
the
Caitlyn.
I started liking the show more and more, and then it just grew on me, and there were more characters, there were more consequences. And even though I haven't watched the show in a while, there's still a lot I remember it because it's just a well-written show, and it just keeps getting better and better. And even though the Imagine Dragons song, which I don't really care for much,
And they're in the show.
music, yes, they pop up in the show, which was just cheap, but it's whatever. Overall, I would say this is just a well-written show, and since this is based on League of Legends, and you don't even have to watch League of Legends, I got quite impressed. But it was Jinx. I kept watching Jinx and Silco, and how Silco just keeps manipulating her and manipulating her and manipulating her, and then she just snaps, and she's so torn with her actual sister, of Vi, and what she wants to do. And then you have the council, and the whole thing just keeps building. You've got this character who wants to I can't remember his name. He was trying to fix himself with that goo.
Victor.
Victor. Yeah, Victor. Yeah, he was very interesting too. And so there was just a lot of interesting characters in this show, but Jinx was one of my favorites. And then of course you did have the stuff where it looked like Lucio from Overwatch, and then it was like a Peter Pan kind of world, and I was like, but overall, I would still say this show was great. It just got better and better and better. But I would always tell people, give it 3 episodes. If you don't like it by then, you probably won't like it. But that 4th episode, around that 3rd, 4th episode, where we first see where Powder comes into Jinx, and Jinx and Vi see each other, you're like, oh crap, this is getting really crazy. Yeah.
What's up, Pops?
And real quick, Joker Voice has got to go in a few minutes, so I would like to give you this opportunity to promote anything that you have on your channel or anything coming up.
Okay, and I first off, I just want to, with Cash, agree with 100%. Jinx was the hook for me as well, especially after she took the shimmer. And there were 2 scenes in particular. The bridge between her and Echo is just one of the most amazingly done scenes. And then the dinner table scene, where that is just where Jinx just completely just is gone at that point. So I will leave you guys with that. But for my channel, you can check me out at Joker Voice tomorrow in the morning, 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern time. I will be dropping my review of season 4, episode 4 of Titans. And then Friday at Legion Talk, Friday night's Royal Rumble, you can catch me and this guy right here. So
I will be there with Joker Voice, Ryan, also the Rogue Attraction.
Yes, and also Pops just dropped a link in the chat. I have a merch store up that through the month of December. A percentage of the proceeds I'm going to be donating to the Stuttering Foundation. Just let folks with speech impediments just keep talking, folks. Hashtag keep talking.
Very good.
And Joker Voice, it's always a pleasure to have you on an edition of Pop Talk, whether it's tonight or whether it's a Sunday edition. I'm so glad you were able to have some time to join us in this great conversation on a great topic when it comes to Arcane.
Thank you, Mike.
It's great talking with you again, Joker Voice.
Indeed. Always a pleasure, Joker.
My pleasure, guys. And guys, have a great night. Always have fun.
Cheers.
Keep that
too,
smile on your face.
Mwah.
Toodles.
He's a great guy.
He's an awesome guy. And folks, if you haven't subscribed to Joker Voice, what are you waiting for? It's Mr. J. Come on.
right.
The Clown Prince of Crime. Come on.
It's perfectly free to subscribe, man. Just push a button. I mean, what are those fingers made for? God gave you those fingers to subscribe to Joker Voice.
And if you don't go to him, he'll come to you.
Silco. What an ambiguous villain. Because I can't think of a single character that didn't have a genuine opinion of their own, that didn't have a viable discussion behind it. Like every single character had a viable reason to be the way they were. Their motivations were all legitimately human.
Exactly.
I mean, including that deliciously adorable little puffy creature that was over 300 years old. Even he had a legitimate discussion in all of this.
Exactly.
Amazing.
And isn't it amazing that a science fiction, science fantasy piece of work can actually bring real characters forward better than shows that are set in current day?
Unbelievable. It's just
they can
so
do a better job of doing character building, bringing real characters, the raw emotions that you'd have, characters who are not monodimensional. Because let's face it, a lot of these shows, the characters are monodimensional. Oh, that's the Joker of the group. That's the serious one with the stick up their butt in the group. This, these people run the emotional human gamut of the whole thing. They're everything that we would feel inside of us. They have, whether they're bad guy, good guy, in between. It doesn't matter. You can identify with that's the important thing. The identification isn't the fact that is there a 300-pound bearded fat guy waddling around out there. That's not the identification when it comes around the story. It's identifying is struggles and what people are feeling and how they're going about and things. That's where we identify. And that's where a lot of people have that mistake with, I want somebody to identify with. Well, if you cannot get beyond your own ego, then you're not going to do that.
That's right.
If you get beyond your own ego, you can see how well crafted this all is, and you can start identifying, even if it is the bad guy, and you start going, "Oh, bad guys are humans too." Yeah, they are. They're not some ogre from another planet. They just went down a different path. They see things differently than you. They're moral, and they think they're doing the right thing.
Right.
The counselor, the metal counselor, right there. He reminded me of Wat Tambor from the prequels.
Yeah. I thought it was neat.
I just wanted to bring attention to there's a sequence at the beginning of this where Vi and her gang get into a fist fight with a rival gang, and I was recently rewatching the movie Good Will Hunting, and it dawned on me that the fight sequence at the beginning of that movie is almost tributed by the fight sequence with Vi and her gang. The slow-mo shots of the fist punching, it's almost there's almost a shot-for-shot tribute being made of gang life. Between those two sequences, and it blew my mind that I hadn't noticed it upon first viewing. But there's a legitimate tribute being made right there about gang violence and about buddies sticking together through thick and thin.
It's the fantasy world of Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's
Well, it also goes to show that your family doesn't have to be blood. It's who's around you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. No, it's always back and says you have someone that's adopted, like my grandfather was my adopted grandfather, but he's always my grandfather to me. I would never ever think anything of that. My
Mhm.
my 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 stepdaughter is my daughter to me. I don't think anything other than that. Why? We're all family. Just like you said, it's not necessarily blood. Sometimes people that are blood we don't get along well with. They're not really our family, except by name and by genetics. And that's not the sole thing that binds people together. I mean, we are a family, all of us. We're bound together by our love of things like this.
Mm-hmm.
Tablet, your computer, sit down, watch, and you're just captured by the story. Really.
Mm-hmm. Right. So much entertainment nowadays is where you can, while you're watching, you can be doing this through the whole thing, and it doesn't matter. You haven't missed anything.
Right.
I always sat back and said, like the TV shows, like back in the old days, Mission Impossible or whatever. You had to watch
Good
it because
show.
if you missed
Mhm.
a certain element of that show, you wouldn't know what's going on eventually. You had to follow it along. This is the same thing,
Mhm.
and what's great about it is it does draw you in. Even the quote unquote the slow first episode or whatever, it still draws you in because you have again the character building, the world building, the beautiful artwork, and your curiosity. I just showed the opening sequence to the Long Suffering, and she was enthralled with it. So I'm going to have to watch it, and that's how it makes it sound because I don't have to watch it, but I'm going to watch it again with her because she's now enthralled by what she saw.
Good.
Mhm.
And it really goes to show that just because it's an animated series doesn't mean it's geared necessarily toward kids.
Right.
Nope. No.
Yeah,
It's
well,
not.
yeah, and that's the thing. Animation really at first wasn't. I mean, the Warner Brothers cartoons were not aimed for kids; they were aimed for adults because they would be in front of movies that were for the mom and dad to go out while they left Junior behind with the babysitter. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs wasn't for kids; it was for an adult audience. And many of the other films, it's just the fact that it was able to be transferred across all the bases where kids could identify and watch something, and as you grow up, you could see the next level, and then as you got older, you saw the next level, and that's what's great about storytelling like this. You can grab along, and the next time, as you get older, or the next viewing, you can see something new, and that's the important thing with these storytellings. That's why fables and folklores are so important. You hear these stories over and over again, but then you start learning something new, or you see something, aha, and you keep growing with it. And that's why stories sometimes stay forever with us, and others disappear. They might be a flash in the pan, but they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know what, Baron? That's probably the most important point to take away from a show like this is that because when I first watched it, I was like, thank God this generation, now this young generation, like my nieces who are 17, 18, 21 or 23 years old at this point, they finally have something that legitimately discusses the real ins and out of revolt, rebellion, civil war, politics, global compromise, economic compromise, inventive compromise. This show discusses all of those things and doesn't back away. It doesn't backpedal on its own evidence.
No punches are pulled.
No.
And the consequences from them, and even the gains that you have from them. There's gains and the consequences, and you start seeing it. It's like, what do you get with rebellion? What's going to be the consequences of it, and what might you gain? And everything has a sacrifice. If we go through life, we always have sacrifices. Parents sacrifice for their children. People sacrifice for jobs or for a charity or something that they believe in. But no matter what, we all sacrifice. And to have the understanding that sacrifice is out there, and for this generation to start understanding that it is there and seeing that, and that every action does have a consequence. It can be good, it can be bad, it can be in between, but it's still a consequence. Especially when they're so used to be behind a computer and be able to shout out whatever they want. It's like, well, what happens when you start seeing people face to face? Now you're going to start seeing consequences. Now that person was who you were insulting before. Do you see what they're doing out there? They love their children. They're taking care of. They're giving to charity, and you just called them an this and the fold or whatever because you and them do not see eye to eye on a particular thing.
Oh my God, Caitlyn, what a character!
Yeah,
Beautiful.
From the beginning of her introduction, all the way to the last few seconds of her tears and astonishment that what was about to happen at the climax. Unbelievable. Just and I still can't tell, was Silco going to give her up until he was put in the position of not giving her up? Was he really going to actually give her up in the end? Would he have made that compromise if Jinx didn't put him in an awkward position? It's hard to tell. I don't know.
Real quick on Caitlyn, and Crit brought this up to me first, but Caitlyn is a great example of how to do a strong girl as far as being physically strong, because clearly Caitlyn was in peak physical condition. You know, you could tell that she had some muscle mass on her, but she still looked and acted like a woman.
Yeah.
And you know, guys, we also got quality background with Caitlyn too, which is always appreciative.
Yeah, that one sequence with her and Grayson was priceless. It was only a few moments. That shooting sequence, just a few moments between the two of them, and you got everything you needed to know about her arrogance, about her sense of privilege. Everything was all there, justified.
And you know, even like talking about the consequences and such. What about the lieutenant? I mean, at first you see him getting basically the bag of 30 pieces of silver, like Judas, and spilling it on the ground like that. I mean, obviously that was the implication. You know, giving to people to understand that concept, and you know, dropping the coins like that. And one of the coins is blood covered, and he keeps it. He keeps it. And you know, in what actions that he had choices he could make, and still it seems like he didn't necessarily do the right thing.
Yeah, that one thought scenario gets everybody every single time. I've watched dozens of first time viewers watch this show, and everybody is just gaping in shock that he pulled the pin on that grenade, and they're just like, wait, did that just really happen? Because remember, we're just coming out of episode 3 with that moment. And it's like, wait, you know what? This show could really do this right now. Like, it's totally justified that could actually have happened. And then it's a dream sequence or a thought sequence. Unbelievable storytelling.
I thought it really did happen. It's like,
And speaking of the animation, you know, when you see into Jinx's mind and you see those brief flashes of the ghosts of Milo and Clagger there, the way that they do that is like the perfect visual representation of Jinx's madness. Yeah, it's amazing.
She's haunted by her past.
There are some techniques that they play in this show that really astonished me at the level of creativity. Everything that's either thought-based or ethereal, like smoke or gunpowder, is 2D. It's actually flat on screen, right? Like all of her little thought crazies and some sound effects and all of the cigarette smoke. It looks 2D flat on screen, but the characters are real. And that level of separation within the animation gives the universe a texture I didn't expect anybody would ever try to attempt. And they did it so beautifully. I mean, you get what I'm saying with that? I mean, that the conflict sequence between Echo and Jinx, where it goes to super 2D flat, where they're facing off against each other and the music picks up and it goes hyper 2D and it becomes like neon colored. I didn't expect anybody to do that kind of thought experiment with, you know, dimensionality in this universe. It really surprised me as an artist.
Or even in the fight sequences in themselves, how the music is just perfectly placed into the scene.
Hmm. I would say they did about a 98% good job of that. There was a couple of things I thought were, but other than that, most of it meshed. It was, it complemented, which music should do.
Yeah.
I have yet to see a single first-time reactor react negatively to this material. Not one. And I'm telling you, I've watched dozens of them watch this show all the way through. And not a single one of them doesn't walk away either in tears or just artistic shock at the quality levels.
Arctic shock right here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, it just goes to show that when you have a good team that's putting together this series, from storyboards to writing the episodes to everyone involved in the animation process, and it just all blends well together. It just goes to show that if anyone else out there wanted to follow Arcane's lead, they could do it.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. I hope this opens up a new era. I hope this kicks in the next stage.
I don't know. People want to just do cheap and fast.
I know. You're absolutely right, but I hope this has enough of a return of investment. I hope, and I'm talking about not just monetary, but people. I mean, people clamoring, going, "This is what we want more. This is where we want to put our time, our money, and our effort to, and our spare time when we're watching entertainment." I want to see more of this, and I think that's what's important about getting it out a little bit more. Is people that love animation, anyone who loves animation should watch this. As much as people talk about Akira, right, and what a beautiful piece of artwork that movie is. Well, then this should be right above there, right alongside it. It should be right there. If you love Akira, if you love all those animation that is just painstakingly made and have all this nuances, then if you're ignoring this, you're betraying yourself. You're betraying the cause. You have to watch this.
Yeah, and I dare anybody to watch this show and go, "Oh, it's too dark." Meanwhile, sunsets. Meanwhile, lead political female character painting in her free time. Unbelievable. The color palette, and the cinematographical palette as well is bright and colorful when it needs to be, and dark and gritty when it needs to be.
Even when it's in the have-not area, you have bursts of color when needed.
Oh yeah.
Again, it just shows how incredible this series is, and I know we've all said it. We can't wait for season 2.
Absolutely.
I am praying that it's just going to be just as good. They obviously must have a plan to this, especially leaving it like they did. And I guess that's the biggest thing I got mad about. It's like, we're done now?
Yeah. Personal prediction. The young lady that was turned into dust. Right? Her soul is now a part of that device. That's actually what happened.
That was my guess.
That's my personal prediction. And she will encompass the entire council room with a shield to protect Victor. And that's how they'll survive that attack. Because we saw the shield come up spontaneously, didn't we? When Vi was fighting on the bridge. She had no idea that shield even existed. And you saw her astonishment when it came up to protect her in the bar. She had no idea that technology was even part of the gloves.
Right.
So I expect that technology to be the ghost in the machine. And I expect the ghost in the machine to be that young lady who was a fangirl of Victor.
You know what? I mean, I was suspecting that she might have been absorbed into the device. But yeah, I mean, your hypothesis, I don't see anything wrong with that. I think you got the right path. Now that you brought it up.
Well, also let's talk about the crystals and how both Jace and Victor take those crystals and basically condense them down to where they can be used in devices.
Mm-hmm. Like batteries.
Yeah. God, I love that moment where he puts it in the anvil and goes to strike it, and Heimendinger is just like, wait, what are you doing? Fantastic. Great play. But it also goes to show how spontaneously arrogant they are. And Heimerdinger's just like, you two boys are really adorable, but you're dangerous.
Yeah. But again, that just goes back to what Baron was saying, where Heimerdinger, being 300 years old, naturally is going to have more patience than Jason Victor, where there's like, no, we need to do this now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, let's face it, the risk takers are the ones that take those steps. I mean, take a look at Tesla and all the craziness that he did. And that was like, whoa, all the way across the board. You take those risks and you push that envelope, and you're the one that wants to be, if anything goes wrong, I want to be the one that gets affected if it goes bad. No one else be around me. Obviously, they don't want any harm to happen to anybody else, but risks do get taken in any advancement of technology as we go along. We pushing the envelope always does that.
And also another thing I like about the series is that Vi at one point tells Powder, also known as Jinx, that if she fires her flare gun, then Vi will find her. And it's paid off.
Right. I was wondering if that would be the case, because she sees how far away, you see how far away she is from her. It's like, oh, okay, and all the stuff that's going down, but yet she still goes there.
Yeah, it's almost a micro redemption for Jinx, that there is a tiny bit of powder still left inside of there somehow. But when she brings that entree to the table and slaps it down, not a single first reactor doesn't think that Caitlyn's head is in that dish. Not a single person. Everyone is like, oh my, they're in shock. They're like, no, Jinx, no, you did not just do that. And Jinx is like, God, I'm not that crazy.
Exactly.
Like, well, we thought you were, girl. Like, you're off the deep end, woman.
And that's what's nice. They went against trope. What could have been possible tropes. They went against them.
Yeah,
that's good character building.
Right. And that's just it. Breaking the normal storytelling that we've gotten is what expands and gets better storytelling. George Lucas broke storytelling with Star Wars. We didn't see the main protagonist. Luke, until about 16 minutes into the film, and he's supposed to be the hero of the story. And spending most of the time with droids and going through their adventure. Who would have thought? And look what that did for storytelling. This is doing the same thing here with what they're with what they got there, going against type and making you go, okay, this person is exactly what you thought they were.
Well, Baron, I'm going to say that Luke Skywalker may have been the story's obvious hero, right? Because that was the mythological trope. But the actual hero of the story was introduced in my favorite character, R2-D2.
Yeah. Well, the reason why is they were our eyes in the world. They were supposed to be telling the story to us. And so the C-3PO, R2-D2, they're our eyes. They're our storytelling. Something that, unfortunately, Lucas forgot about as he went along, and definitely Disney did.
The idea that they benched R2 in the first movie, I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me, man.
Exactly. And think about it. Our eyes into that world was a robot. Again, that's amazing in and by itself. We're used to having...
Ironically, as a storytelling device, R2-D2 is quite literally a projection film camera.
Yep. Exactly.
Isn't that ironic?
It is. It is. I mean, whether it was by intent or by design, it's still that's how it ends up.
Yeah, it's so true. And even in the prequels, without R2, there is no universe. The whole universe collapses without R2D2. He's the linchpin in the whole Star Wars universe. Fight me on it. I'll fight you.
I agree. I've been saying that all along. That the droids, even C-3PO, to a point, also they're the linchpin to it in one fashion or another. They're the ones that keep the saga going, telling the saga, letting the saga be seen is through them, and
that's right. No 3PO. Han Solo and Luke Skywalker get eaten by the Ewoks.
Yep. Exactly. So yeah, they're the unsung heroes.
As ridiculous as that sounds.
Yes, I know, exactly. Isn't it? Yeah, exactly. And they're made to suffer. There's a lot in life, Yeah. But again, going against trope, that's what's the important thing about it, and to appreciate that. And that's why these stories start going head and shoulders above what we've been getting through all these years.
Can I just say something really quick? It took a long time for it to actually cycle through the system at YouTube, but my handle is officially logged in. That's my official handle, boys and girls. That is, it took about a week for that to actually come up as a reality, but that is now my handle. I'm so proud. I have a legitimate HTTP on YouTube. So
I like
happy.
I love it, brother.
Hey, by the way, we lost Frenchie from Hogan's Heroes.
Oh my God!
we did?
Really?
We've lost all of the Hogan's Heroes.
Robert Clary passed away, huh? Yeah, he was up there.
Wow.
He was the last of the full original cast. I think the only one they got left was the guy who took over for Clencho in the last season.
And I actually played a cast member in a stage production back in 1989, 90 of Stalag 17 on a small stage on Long Island, which is what Hogan's Heroes is based on. It's based on a stage play called Stalag 17.
And of course, the movie that they had. And were you Schultzy? Were you Schultzy?
No, I was a young man. I was a very young person who was one of the cast members that was betrayed by the double crosser that turns in everybody at the end of the show. So yeah, spoiler alert.
I love the booby trap. Putting the cigarette into the matchbook.
Right.
Ingenious.
Back to Arcane.
Yeah, Arcane. Yeah.
I was going to say, if you guys wanted to talk about it real quick, we can. I mean, it is Pop Talk after all.
Talk. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to be spoilers. Because
I get that.
Because there's wheels among wheels and so many different stories going on at the same time, but they're interconnected. And betrayals and turnarounds and plot twists that just is just stunning. And you're going through. It's like I've gone through 10 episodes of the show, and it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
9 or 10.
The episodes keep moving. They don't drag on. It's
not
one of those types of shows where you're constantly looking at your clock or you're looking at your phone or your tablet or you're on your computer trying to find another distraction.
Right.
Yeah. It's amazing, but this is one time that the auto feature of next episode automatically playing is a godsend. Because you're just like, yeah, baby, let's do this thing, man. Keep it going. You could watch this as a single epic watch. I don't even consider it a binge. This is a gratifying meal. Bring me more.
Yes.
I consider each 3 episodes to be you can make 3 movies out of this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's kind of like the prequels, how they are. The first one is the prologue, and then the second two are the main story.
Yeah.
Uh,
Welcome to our universe. This is what's going on. Now, everything we were told you about is wrong, and this is why.
Yep.
Mhm.
And look, the surface is supposed to be so much better than the slums. Oh wait, it has its own problems.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that they've got bigger problems. And then we get introduced to her mother, and you're just like, oh, yeah, that's right. There's a whole planet surrounding this city.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mhm.
And we haven't even been introduced. We've only been introduced to one faction. And
I heard-
she's talking about other factions.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that they might season 2 might be the end of the whole Jinx storyline, and they might move on to other places, other storylines in the world for season 3. Sure.
That sounds very optimistic, but I'm afraid that
Cool.
is terribly naive to the fan base because Jinx,
Mhm.
like the Joker and Harlequin, there's no escaping her being in the next season because
Right.
she's just far
Mhm.
too popular a character, and everybody wants to know what happens between Vi and Caitlyn. Like me personally, and I
Yes,
don't
me
mean
too.
that in a crushing kind of way.
Do you-
I genuinely want to know what happens to those two.
Right.
I
Me
find
too.
their relationship to be natural and genuine.
Mhm.
Do you know how many player characters are in League of Legends?
No, I'm familiar enough with
Okay.
League of Legends to know that there are dozens of characters.
There's 157 playable characters. Arcane uses 9.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
there's a,
multiple
it's a large
species
world.
too, right? Aren't there different races
Yeah,
and
yes.
species?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you know, no, Heimerdinger, you know, we saw him, and then there's like that bat-looking guy that's with, you know, with
Batman.
that surfboarding group, and I mean, the most important thing is not to draw out unnecessarily the story either. There's, you know, obviously there's going to be some elements in it that's going to have to come to an end. You don't want to stretch it out and then it starts getting boring and forced.
Right.
So, I mean, Vi and Jinx, their story will have to come to an end. But
Yes.
there's possibilities continuing on with other people. And are they going to find characters that are going to be just as compelling and interesting? That's going to be the big important thing. And let's hope. I mean, maybe we'll start getting more introductions to people in the next season with the continuation of the struggles between Vi and Jinx. And of course, Jace and what he's having to go through, and Victor, what's going to happen with Victor. There's so many different elements that we have going on here that, you know, some things will have to come to the end, but the world itself can continue on.
Yeah. Well, we're also going to find out the aftermath of how many people died in the council.
Yeah.
I don't think they all died, but I really believe most of them did, potentially.
Yeah.
And can we also talk about how Silco was arguably never truly the villain here? It was his scientist, the one that actually made the shimmer.
Yeah. I think Singh is the true villain of the Dr. Singh is the true villain of the show.
Yeah. He's kind of got that advancing somebody along no matter how much has to suffer.
Well, how many times does he actually say such a thing where, you know, the end does justify the means?
Right.
And I'm not entirely convinced that creature he has isn't his daughter.
I was wondering that myself.
Say what?
Because you go watch the initial discussion about the existence of that creature.
Right.
And him mentioning his child and how she must survive.
And how this is the mutation must survive.
Right. I am seriously curious about what that person is and how he influenced Victor. And whether or not he altered his child in much the same way that nutcase in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood altered his child with that dog.
As well as, of course, who he's got, as Crit has pictured, hanging from the ceiling.
And he was the one who went up against Heimerdinger.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, it's a fascinating universe with a lot of secret, continuously moving parts. This is what I love about good storytelling, is that you could go back and extrapolate and reverse engineer other storylines that they don't even cover because all the evidence is there.
Yeah, read between the lines.
Yeah.
What's the story
you can
between the
actually
lines?
read between the lines.
Mm-hmm. And then we realize that the doors have not been opened. There's still a lot of closed doors that need to be opened up, which is why we have that season 2 coming along. We need to see what else is behind these doors. What other stories? What other directions?
I have a theory that this man right here is Vander.
I do too.
I'll put it on the screen here in just a second, Crit.
Because in the video games, there's a character called Warwick, and he used to be a man who hunt. He says here, he's a monster who hunts the gray valleys of Zon. Transformed by agonizing experiments, his body is fused with an intricate system of chambers and pumps.
Well, look, he kind of has a beard, doesn't he?
During his life as a human, Warwick was a Zonite gangster who decided to retire from crime and live a better life as a good man. He was eventually captured and experimented on by Dr. Singh, who pumped him full of chemicals containing spliced monster DNA. In an attempt to transform him into the beast he was deep down inside.
Yeah.
I think we got something.
I think we're going to see I'm going to use a word that the audience and the panel may not recognize. It's called transmogrification.
Yep.
And in a world like this, where magic truly exists, where you bang a few rocks together and you could transport an entire aircraft, anything is possible. That Jinx's explosion at the end and the inevitable outcry of whatever devices might be in play here, including the teleportation device itself, may actually encompass the entire world in a transmogrification where even Silco is resurrected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all possible, because I want to bring attention back to that teleportation sequence that saves Jace and his mother. One of the most magical visual things I think I've ever seen on television was that transportation sequence where the earth spins and becomes the kid's eyeball. It's like, you gotta be freaking kidding me with that one.
And what powers does Jay said we don't know yet, and he doesn't know yet.
Oh my gosh!
Oh gosh, Crit.
I think I picked the wrong video. I think
You're a cruel bastard, Crit.
Oh gosh.
I think I picked the wrong one.
Yeah, right.
Are you trying to say that's one of the new characters in the season next season?
For the record,
I
that
have
was
to
not
clue me in
part
on
of
the
my
lore
plans.
on that one. Whose face was that I just witnessed? Was that the guitar player's face?
That would be
great image. That's a great
was me.
image. Yeah, that's you, isn't it, Masterful?
Yes, that was me. But the story behind that was I was doing everything that I can to convince Cash that he needs to watch a full Godzilla movie with us, which he did, but he didn't watch the right one. But I got like
That's
way
not
up in
my
my
fault.
camera's face, and I said, Cash, listen to me. You need to watch Godzilla.
Yeah, here's my favorite Arcane character, by the way. He was you didn't see him, but he was in the background.
Yeah, you know what? My photo makes a good Arcane character for sure.
Yes, it does.
Somebody made that, huh? That's
yeah. You can take your
myself.
photo and then you go to a website, and then you can turn yourself into an arcane character.
Oh, that's
There's
fantastic.
my
Yeah,
case
it's pretty
here.
cool, man.
Dude, guys.
No, get that off the screen, dude.
Oh, wrong one.
I'm pretty sure that
Just
Baron
pick-
already knows this, but I was born in 1969.
Okay.
And to witness that all of this going on, I mean, I saw the birth of vector graphics and Space Invaders, and Atari came out of nowhere and captured our imaginations. I had some of one of the first video consoles ever created with cartridges. I had one of the first projection screen TV sets made by Hitachi, where we had a projection screen on, and it was these 3 color units were firing against a mirror that was reflected back up on a screen. That's how I saw the first VHS tape of Star Wars that my father bought as a bootleg on Times Square. I remember Betamax coming out of nowhere. I remember cable TV coming out of nowhere. This universe that has evolved in my single lifetime, where we're now live streaming on our own private TV channels.
Yep.
My mind is completely boggled as to where this is all going.
Welcome to the new cable access, right?
You were born a few years before my brother, man. Or actually a few years before my brother, Stephen.
And gentlemen, we have someone in the chat who's asking, should he watch?
Yes.
Well, not Nerdportal.
Yes.
Nerdportal. We want to keep this away from Nerdportal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You didn't deserve it.
Forget that.
No,
I said
Absolutely,
yes, I need to watch
Brian.
it.
You should
doesn't
watch
deserve
this.
it.
Yeah, you have to, Brian. You got to do that.
Yeah.
And Stephen, I got 1 year up on you. I have 68 for me. So
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So my older 2 brothers are 67 and 64. So yeah, it's
You guys are in the generation of my brother. He was born in 72. So
yeah. I have a younger brother who was born in 72, and it's astonishing. And I only say it as a form of perspective on how crazy a single lifetime can be on this planet.
Oh, yeah.
And when I tell you that you really should anticipate but not expect anything to happen, I'm telling you, man, anything can happen. We're all now carrying what we thought was going to be a crazy, wacky NSA implant in our children. We're now paying a monthly fee to carry one with us,
right.
And
Well, that
real quick,
and
Nerdtorial, you do not need to have played League of
No, you
Legends
don't.
to understand
No, you
Arcane.
no,
I
you
didn't,
don't, man.
and you'll be just fine.
I'd almost
And-
recommend no. Don't don't play the game. Just watch
Don't
the show.
play the game. Just watch the show.
Stephen,
I
how? Go ahead, Crit.
There was this one friend of mine, and he's like, I hate League of Legends. I don't want to watch this stupid show. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Come on.
Not only is it not necessary, it's almost irrelevant.
Right.
Because the story alone, without the video game, without League of Legends, without all the fanfare, without the Vegas conventions for League of Legends, okay, it's all irrelevant. The animation stands on its own as a long-form visual novel.
Yes. I
Yes.
agree.
Definitely.
Like, yeah, look at this shot right here. The
I
the
will put it on the
Undercity.
screen.
The Undercity. It is animation, but it is 3D animation, but it's like a painting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It is magnificent. It is.
It looks like the
almost see
matte
brush
paintings you'd have in a live action film. Star Wars with the hangar scene and Return of the Jedi, or that which are awesome in by itself. That's just as awesome.
And Nerdtorial,
That's a
you
great
are
show,
living
dude.
through a fantastic moment in your life. Justified is probably one of the most awesome cop dramas.
Oh, it's so great.
It is. He is an awesome sheriff of the town.
Yes.
He's so good.
Walter Goggins is so good in that too. Like this
Underutilized.
so dang good. You're watching a great show, man. That show is. I'd probably say that show's a bit underrated. Great show.
And a great villain too. That actor, god damn, he's so good.
Yeah.
whole show so awesome.
And
no, Brian, you're watching us, not watching Justified.
Steven, I also wanted to. Oh, we got Paul.
real quick, Paul's got to go.
Yeah, so I understand you have an incriminating video to play against me.
I do. I do have an incriminating video to play against you. Against you. Against Crit. And against Baron Ormantag. Now, for anybody who missed it, last night on Tuesday Night Trek, we were talking about the episode Move Along Home. An episode that, in my opinion, is the worst episode ever. It should be thrown out of an airlock and never seen again.
Agreed.
Which episode is this? From what show?
DS9.
Code of Honor is worse.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
It is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
These
there are some
jokers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they wanted to play a game.
You want to play
a game with me?
Remember this? Yeah, good.
Oh my god.
He doesn't have to mention the episode. You just know what he's talking about.
Alan Ray, you'll come with me. Come on.
Thank God Pacific's not here right now. He'd be at a
I want him here. You know, hey, Crit, you Crit that did that?
Yes.
What? You did that one tomorrow. Play it for him tomorrow.
I will have to edit out this part of the stream so that he doesn't hear that.
You didn't.
Too late. Too late. I heard it. I saw it this morning. And I'm all, oh, right. You Romulans are plotting against me. Well, all I got to say to you Romulans is one specific thing because, well, you're Romulans and I'm clean on a, you know the whole story.
I like Romulans.
He said, "Today is a good day to die."
I like Romulans.
Yes.
So
Yes,
Arcane.
So with that, by the way, Pacific, I don't know if you heard, but for the first time ever, I gave something on Tuesday Night Trek a 0 out of 10.
See, Nerporial agrees. Nerporial agrees.
But anyways, last things I want to say about Arcane before I get off of here is it's perfect. It is honestly perfect. As an art form, as a story, as a video game adaptation, it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I'm going to leave you guys and see you guys later.
Thank you for
take
being
care,
here,
Paul.
Paul.
All right, Paul. Have a
Cheers.
good one, man.
I know we kid, but thank you for being here.
Thanks for not editing that out.
You're welcome.
Oh my
But
god.
you know, also, Stephen, what we were talking about with Justify and entertainment. That's why I like stuff like Deus Ex so much. I find it very interesting. What would happen if you put this electronics, this machinery in you? Would your life actually be better or would it be worse? And why people feel that they're superior because they did the operation to the people who didn't. Have you played any of the Deus Ex games?
No, I have not, but
Okay.
I grew up with the Ghost in the Shell universe.
Nice.
And both seasons that they premiered around the turn of the millennium that boggled my mind at how good they were, that I had to own them in every single form I could get my hands on.
Nice.
The Laughing Man saga and the second gig, whatchamacallit, Individual 11 storyline, post 9/11. You got to be freaking kidding me. That show, holy crap, man. You got some major political plot lineage going on in both of those seasons The Japanese just do not know how to pull a punch.
No.
No, they don't.
And we have volunteered. And you know what? There is a goodness, a silver lining to the idea that the cell phone is to Ghost in the Shell what major implant concerns were to anti-cyberists in the real world. And that is that you could stop paying your bill. You could turn this device off. It's still external. It's not inside your body. This is still a voluntary device. And the only thing involuntary about it is our addiction to the qualities the device brings to our life. So this is a two-edged sword that we're still allowed to holster.
True.
Well, we've always had the two-edged swords throughout time. You know, whether it be radio, television, the internet, everything's a two-edged sword. Everything could be used for good. Everything could be used for bad. It could be.
I remember my grandfather telling me about the registration cards they had to put on the vehicles. They considered that as much of an interference as some of the nonsense going on today. And he told me about how the government sent everybody a letter and how they all had to go down to a brand new concept in their lives called the Department of Motor Vehicles, and they had to test and identify themselves as a driver. That was really the first time America had ever started labeling people. So yeah, we live in a very unique period in time, something that probably hasn't been witnessed by mankind since Gutenberg's press and the birth of Christendom in the Western world. I mean,
look, even in the United Kingdom, still to this day, the licensing tax for televisions, and they have the ominous signs. Do you have a TV? We know, and you make sure it's registered, or we'll come knocking on your door just to have a TV to watch something. The control that they had with the BBC radio back in the 60s, where we were getting all this great this importing of the British music from the Stones to the Beatles to the Who, everything across the board, but they wouldn't play it in England because the government didn't have it. That's why you had Radio Carolina or Radio North Sea International blasting into the country on pirate radio, making an absolute damn fool of them until they said, "Yeah, okay, we're going to start broadcasting this stuff." Our own music that the rest of the world's enjoying. Now, granted, they have their albums and all that, but it wasn't listened to on the air. People wanted to hear it on the radios when they're out and about, but they weren't getting it. Needless to say, again, the pirates came in, just like you had have pirates here and there because we're not getting something we want. VPNs, all those fun stuff. Wherever you go, when people feel like they are being taken advantage of by the government in one fashion or another, there's going to be some rebellion in one fashion or another. It always has been. Look at the people in their response to the FCC. The FCC, was invented to try to keep, originally to try to keep one station from overriding another station's signal. But look at the monsters it's grown into and what an abused monster, and how, okay, we're going to turn a blind eye to this one, but we're not going we're going to, pound down heavy on that one because the one we're turning a blind eye to is the one that's got the money.
Exactly.
And just like you said, the Gutenberg, the amount of information that was able to be spread with the Gutenberg Bible, the Reformation, because of that, with where you're nailing, their Facebook was nailing stuff to church doors because that was your bulletin board. To now all of a sudden these tracts are being handed out left and right because you're able to print these out as fast as possible.
Yeah, hey, that's why Facebook initially called it your wall.
Right.
Because you would bill post. And a bill post is basically a glued piece of paper, like in the French days, what you currently see as hype men tagging a wall of some construction site in the modern day. That was being done because of printing.
Yep. And then before that, you had your various priors, and you had your various troops of entertainers going around. That's where sometimes you get your news, your satire, your entertainment, all across the board. You know, it's just the progression.
That's the invention of the stencil was primarily to be able to post icons on things, and that goes without mentioning. You know, we talk about gang signs and hypertext and avatars and stuff like that. You go look up what do they call it? Hobo tags on trains. Okay, hobos had a whole series of symbols that they would chalk onto the side of a train on a corner of a boxcar that said, "Don't travel on this one. Do travel on that one. This one will offer you a free meal if you're caught. This one will basically just shoot you on the side of the road." The whole 9 yards. And this was during the Depression.
Right. They even did it on the fence posts of houses that were along the way there, where this one they're nice to you, this one they're not. You know, so it wasn't just the trains; it was also the people along the way where they.
So you want to talk about blue check marks on Twitter, man?
Oh yeah.
None of this stuff is new. None of this stuff is new. It's just taken on a different realm of existence.
Very true. Yep.
Exactly. And, you know, Arcane is showing us that fantasy version of it, because even with that one, you're noticing the little check marks here and there, the little signs, the various, whether it be the runes for the magic, or, you know, where to go, or this is not the safe place to be. Bringing that element in, which, of course, makes it a lot more feeling real to it. At least if you know about this stuff, that this all existed out there.
Yep.
I mean, even to the cants, you know, the various little the sign, basically the secret languages where it sounds like it's nonsensical, but yet you're relaying information to a kindred spirit within those cants.
Yeah, that's where all the jive hand signs come from too, because secret handshakes were a legitimate form of certification prior to external memory, prior to identification cards. You would do a secret handshake, and if you got the jive moves correct, then you were considered totally honest. It didn't matter what you looked like or what you were wearing or how much you had in your pocket. Right. If you were part of that group and you showed the proper signatures, that's it. You were legit, man. You just legitimized yourself. I just finished I've just finished re-listening to a book. I've now gotten about a half dozen listen throughs on it, called Kim, by Rudyard Kipling.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it is historically known to be one of the earliest spy novels written in the English language. And it basically follows an orphan who is discovered by a spy network in India and allowed and paid for by a monk from Tibet to go through college, and is picked up by this spy network to go on a mission to stop the Russians from moving down through Afghanistan. And this all takes place in the mid-1800s. This is the Afghanistan that Watson fought in.
Yep.
From Sherlock Holmes fame, just to give you some historical earmarking. It is a fantastic book. And one of the cool parts about it is that he wears an amulet that is a fictitious device in universe. But because he says that the amulet represents some sort of brotherhood of 7 brothers, all of the villagers think that this legendary organization is an actual secret society. So he can actually use this device to try and get away from people that don't know who he is. And he's actually trained in folklore by a trainer that tells him how to spit a certain way in certain villages because that's acceptable and this other method is not. Certain mannerisms that will allow him to pass as a native through certain cultures. And this is all part of his spy world. So, you know, there's even that kind of lore built into this book. I mention it primarily as another, because, you know, we get boomers get called boomers, right? and when we're boomers, we boom. You know, we can't help it. You know, it's just part of our nature, especially at our age where we're all trying to be grandpa to somebody. We just can't help ourselves. It's called legacy, and we need to express it. So, these older storylines were around even before I was. So when I talk about my old heritages, there were storylines that are informing me that I didn't know existed. So there's legacy abound throughout the history of media that tell these stories and invented these tropes. I mean, before James Bond, Ian Fleming read this book as a child.
Well, that's one of the things that I always hammer home about understanding our myths, legends, lores, because, you know, Star Trek, Star Wars, all the stuff we have now is our folklore, our mythologies, and they were inspired and came from stuff previous to that. You know, whether it be simple pulp stuff like Flash Gordon, or the dime novels of the American West, or even going further back into either the mythologies or the histories of the world and the tall tales that we have all across. A lot of the people that we have in Hollywood right now don't understand that, which is why the quality of storytelling is so piss poor today, especially by people who should know better than that. Which is why this is such this Arcane is such a refreshing breath of fresh air, because now you've seen someone, they understand, they know what it's about, they're incorporating all this, and you know, whatever it is that we have now is nothing new. It's always been there since we've been starting storytelling in one fashion or another. It's just what direction we're going to go with it. Is it going to be a real life one? Real life drama? Is it going to be a fanciful tale? Like such as Lewis Carroll having to do Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass as a parable of the day, because basically poking fun of politics of Victorian England, so he could keep his head, so the Queen of Hearts didn't chop it off of him. Because he went out there straightforward, he'd be in the Tower of London, rotting away. But being able to do it as a whimsical story like that, he was able to get out there. People understood it.
Right. And sometimes the best place for a rebellion to survive is on stage. And never forget that the jester was allowed to ridicule the king.
Right.
By duty of office.
Mm-hmm. He had to do that. And even, as I sit back and say, the reason why Shakespeare lasted so long is not because it was high entertainment. On the contrary, it was entertainment for the masses. And again, it was a way to send message to the masses for them to understand. And in another form, we would say rebellion. Mm-hmm. And that's, of course, nowadays everyone starts thinking, it's like, it's highbrow stuff. No, it wasn't. Shakespeare was never highbrow.
No,
that was our Star
Trek.
Just the
opposite. Yeah,
right. That was our Twilight Zone. That was our Star Trek. That was our Star Wars of that era. Mm-hmm. And of course, the masses just clung on to it, and that's why we still have Shakespeare within our realm today. And
right. And then, but we also have people, unfortunately, that there's this one author who wants to change things about Shakespeare. And when the interviewer is like, well, what do you think about it? It's like, I don't care what Shakespeare thinks. He's been dead. He's dead. Well, that's fine, but that's just such an arrogant attitude.
Yeah.
It really is. It's very arrogant. And they don't care. And they want to change this stuff, and it's just never going to be as great as the original. And when they want to change characters, they want to I don't want to get deep into politics or anything, but they want to change this and do that. It's never going to be, they change it so it fits their arrogance. That's how I usually look at it. They change it to fix their arrogance. I just think it's lame. They
are their shortcomings.
It's their arrogance, their ego, their whatever. Yes, their shortcomings. Right.
Their insecurity. I mean, right down what comes around to it is their insecurity. I mean, just like they're doing with Samuel Clemens and how they attack Samuel Clemens, making him out to be a man that he wasn't. And the giant of the writer that he was, Edgar Allan Poe, and how they try to go after Edgar Allan Poe in these fashions. Of course, they're not around to defend themselves.
No, they're not.
But even if you want to start taking a look, even H.G. Wells, Jules Verne's, and all the grandfathers of science fiction.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got one for you too. Everybody hear of a little novel called Paradise Lost?
Oh yeah,
by John Milton.
Milton.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. That
And
man, whether you like it or not, as pretentious as you may think that person and that author and that material actually is, it was the first time the Bible had been discussed in the English language. That publication. That was a bona fide rebellion against the Catholic Church. It was the beginning of Protestantism in England.
And of course, the follow up with Paradise Found, which a lot of people don't realize that one was a follow up.
Yeah. People don't realize that that's a sequel.
Exactly. Just like everyone's fixated on Dante's Inferno when there's Paradiso and Purgatorio.
Yeah, and you know what? Another funny part about Paradise Lost and John Milton is that in the Bible, the fruit of knowledge is never identified.
No.
It's Milton that makes it an apple.
Mm-hmm.
And Milton's apple is actually what Zeus gave Hera on their wedding day. Mm-hmm. That was his gift to his bride, was a branch of apples.
And also, as it goes, he also had the golden apple in the Norse mythology, where it was bringing life.
Yep.
Eternal life. So again, you had that creeping into the mixture of everything.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, we have approached the 2-hour mark of this edition of Pop Talk. Is there anything that you'd like to add about Arcane? Any final thoughts?
Did we go too deep for you, Mike?
No.
Go watch it. Go.
Yeah.
You got Netflix right now. Go see it right now. Go. Don't ask questions.
All you people out there who've been bitching about how things have been going wrong with Hollywood and this, whether it's Kathleen Kennedy and Disney, or Kurtzman with Star Trek, or Chin Balls with Doctor Who and the BBC with Doctor Who, or any of that. Anyone who's going out there and is whining and crying about that, watch this. Because this will restore your faith that things aren't as bad as we like to think it is, and there is hope for storytelling in the future. I dare you, if you have not seen this, I don't care what your excuses are for not seeing it, see it. You will not be disappointed. This is what we've been crying for out there. I don't care if it's tied in with a video game that's crappy on a phone platform or not. We've been crying for this, like out of the wilderness for this, and now it's being delivered to us like manna. This is what's going to sustain us, and if we have a positive response to this, we'll get more of this. We have to support that. We can't always complain. It's time to start praising. It's time to start building up. It's time to start promoting, and all of us have to do that. And I challenge you. And if you haven't seen it, watch it.
Amen.
Who would like to follow that one up?
If you like hot muscled women, you like
oh my gosh,
you like psychotic, crazy, killer teenage girls. If you like
if you like cloud tattoos on young bodies,
right?
If you
hot guards, ladies, hot counselors that hang around with inventors,
grown-up woman voices.
Yeah, let me tell you about something. Oh, and just one thing. This is if you're a Babylon 5 fan, this series is I think is one of the last pieces of art that Mia Furlong contributed to before she passed away.
I was going to say that. I just couldn't figure out what character she actually played because
she played the brothel goblin.
Yeah, she was the brothel one. Yep. Blossom. Was it Blossom or something like that? I can't remember. But
yep, fantastic.
If you're tired of woke nonsense, manufactured drivel, just go watch this. We're just telling you, go see it.
Right.
It's been out a year. Go see it.
Yeah.
There is maybe a potential lesbian romance, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Let it go. Just let it go.
Again,
not
it's
even
not
forced. It's not even.
Yeah. Exactly. So
it's not even like year. So.
I mean, I don't know if Doomcock sees this or not, or if Mexican Iron Man, or Gary from Neurotic, or Tom Connors Jr., or any of those guys, if they ever get the chance to see this and they have not seen Arcane, watch it and go out there and promote it. I want
This
some
show
of the big guys
deserves to
out
be
there.
promoted.
Yeah, I go out there and promote it. I want the big guns out there. So if any of those guys ever get a chance to see this, what we're talking about here, I want you to watch it. I want you to go out there and promote it because it needs it. This is what we've been calling for.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. This is the property that everybody actually saw and celebrated when they actually should have gone and seen Battle Angel Alita and done the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was, yes, I agree.
Okay, because Battle Angel Alita did to its adaptation what this does to League of Legends. Okay, just as credibly and authentically. This is what it does with League of Legends. And if you don't believe me, believe the long man, because Mauler and the EFAP gang do a 12-hour breakdown over several streams on this show, where they break it down blow for blow, point for point, and follow all of the continuity of every single device within the series. And they're like, we just can't believe that this thing is so well constructed that we can find very little kinks in the armor. Very little.
Yeah.
And those guys are laureate level analysts on the subject of writing. You want to get a dissertation on how to execute a storyline? You listen to those guys. Those guys know what they're talking about. Mauler can tell you how to break down any novel ever written while playing a video game. So EFAP, highly recommended, by the way. Their take on Arcane had me in tears at points because I thought I was going crazy. So to hear them justify everything, every beat that I recognized was so gratifying. It's like, because I don't know, it's so hard to know what's good anymore because we've been told over and over again that we don't even know what we're talking about.
Right.
That is so true.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's nice to have something like this where we're out there just praising to the high heavens a program, a series. I mean, how often do you hear that amongst our group? Usually it's just the bitching and moaning and crying and whining, and here we are praising. It's like, if things need to be praised, we need to do it more often, especially when we do find it.
We all wish we had a Caitlyn in our life.
Absolutely, because there is one show I was praising to the high heavens, and I told Cash about it, and that was The Old Man.
Yes,
it's a very good show.
Underrated show. I watched that with my brother. It's a very underrated show. Can't wait to see what happens in season 2 whenever that starts.
And speaking of you, Cash, go ahead and say your thoughts to wrap this up.
I mean, Arcane is just, I would say give this a few episodes because this show did not hook me right away. It was after I got to about the 3rd episode, I started getting more invested in it. And then the 4th episode, I was hooked. And I wanted to watch more and more and more. So I would just give it a few episodes if you're actually willing to try it. And then it just really gets good. I might try to convince my own brother to watch this. We watch a lot of stuff together, but he's never really had much interest, unfortunately, but maybe I'll try to push him some more. But this is just compelling drama. You've got interesting character development. You have quality background. So go watch Arcane. Do yourself a favor and do it.
And I'm going to ask each one of you in the panel, anyone who's in the chat who has seen Arcane, out of 10, what's your rating?
10.
Okay.
And I would just want to sit back and say I've never heard Cash having so much inflection and excitement in his voice as he's been promoting this. He's about to burst, folks. But me, I'm dialing it up to 11.
Oh,
all right.
Okay, I'll give it that score too. If that's give it a 12. We give.
I'm gonna give it an 8 or a 9. I'll probably go with a 9 out of 10.
An 8.
Yeah,
8 to me is still great though.
So low energy. So
yeah, with that excitement that you had in your voice earlier, you're giving it an 8. Okay, everybody.
And to be honest, Cash Money. I'm going along with you on that. It's we need to stop this nonsense about giving things 5 stars and about giving things solid 10s. Okay, yep. Those things should be reserved for God tier level, like this levitated out of a gleaming cloud from the sky. This show is, with all the praise I've laid upon it, this show is beyond excellent. Mm-hmm. It is a 9.5 at least. Okay, it has some faults.
Yeah,
it has some issues built into it. There are moments
can you name
it's a personal thing, okay? Yeah. I don't like some of this exploitation that is going on with the hip hop movement, where every time you see a colored character on screen, there needs to be rap music, even if it's in another dimension, in a different multiverse, on a planet that has never been named. Okay, do we really need every black character to be a hip hop hero? I mean, seriously? Can we end this trope, please? It's insulting to our intelligence.
Yeah.
These people are human beings that have so much more depth that they deserve more from their own culture.
Yep. Yeah, and that's how I feel too. Like, the thing is, for me, this is not perfect entertainment. I didn't like Powder in the beginning. I didn't care for some of the stuff of the Imagine Dragons, but to me, overall, it turned into an 8 or a 9, and that's high praise for me, because it takes a lot for me to give new entertainment an 8. And to me, an 8 means great, and a 9 is like amazing. So it's between an 8 or a 9 for me.
Well, for me, this was good, even with the flaws, because every story has a flaw. Nothing's perfect. Even Citizen Kane had flaws. How did they know it said Rosebud? But yet that's considered one of the greatest pieces of American cinema.
Well, they were talking about the sled, of course. So.
Yeah. But, hey, don't give away spoiler.
Yeah, and I consider God tier to be things like 2001.
Right.
Okay. Where it's beyond recognition how good it is. The Shining is another example. This is so beyond the material that it turns itself into a new genre of cosmic horror. Yep. It's the only time a movie has been continuously terrifying and you have no concept as to why you're terrified.
Right.
And see, for me, this was God tier because this was, again, a breath of fresh air. But not only that, it was amazing how they could, because my big problem with when they do steampunk, they always seem to go over the top. But yet, this was something where they made it look believable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The artwork around it was believable. Even with flaws, everything around it was beautiful. And I just remind myself, even life has flaws. Nothing's, so when it comes around the entertainment, just like other stuff, like you're saying, for me, in the form of animation, especially modern animation that we've been getting, this is a God tier level that is opening new doors. Because even though you're talking about there were some tired tropes that they had in there, there was a lot of trope breaking that they had in there, which we haven't seen in a long time.
The little girl does the opposite of what you would think they would do. Let me see here. The ending isn't the opposite of what you would expect to happen. There is just so much twist and turn, but it connects so well. It builds upon itself, and I'm sorry, I have to give this a God tier. It's a
and the connection to a film I mentioned earlier, Akira. As it goes, I don't consider that God tier. I'd put that to a 7, maybe an 8. I didn't think the story was that good, but my God, the artwork was just beautiful. You're watching that for eye candy, and this almost as a story secondary. So, as many people put that as a God tier level of a movie, I don't. But I can appreciate what it was.
Yeah.
So I don't always go God tier. The fact that I'm going dialing to 11 on this says something for me, because I've been very jaded. Incredibly.
And when I say God tier, I mean, first of all, it's kind of a new precedent I'm trying to set. I mean, if you had caught me about 4 months ago, I would have easily have said 10 out of 10, dial it up to 11. Sure, why not? Let's buy a box of donuts for this series. It deserves a box of donuts.
Oh yeah.
Cash Money. I'm sure you can agree with me on that one. Trigun Forever. Okay, I love that show,
dude. Trigun, yeah, Trigun is definitely in the amazing category.
But when I speak of God tier, I'm talking about something that is so transcendent of its own media that you could watch it as a wrench to any philosophical construct you want to play against it, that it becomes a lens onto the universe itself. That's what I mean by God tier. Something like I said, something like Lawrence of Arabia, something like 2001, something like Casablanca, that is so beyond its own media that it's transcending time itself and becomes a discussion about the definition of an anti-hero.
Well, I think we're doing that with this. This has done that. This is exactly. I mean, we've been about 2 hours 15 minutes roughly about, and talk about how this transcended so many different areas with so many side plots and the wheels turning and coming together. I think that helps bring it to that level. And look what we've talked about with this and how it connected with other form of media that we've been experiencing, and even into history and mythology. I mean, when you can do that with a story, especially a series like this, you're transcending. This is something that's transcending, and why it needs to be looked at for people to make future things. Not copying this, but how to do it.
I'll let you know, the Annie Awards, the animation awards, that when this came out, it won all the awards.
Good for them.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
They deserve it.
Deservingly.
Yeah, it does.
Lose the nomination.
I agree.
And then the actress who played Jinx, she got award for best voice actress. This has never been done before. The way this animation has been, this story is so new. It feels like as Baron said during we were watching, it feels like it's an example of the American mythos. Is that right? It's
not just American, but throughout time.
We could say Western mythos.
Yeah, thank you, very good.
Okay, because there is a definite divide through the center of Asia into Eastern and Western mythos. India, Korea, China, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Vietnam, those nations hold their own special connection with each other. And very, very much so. Anime is currently celebrating it at the highest ranks. Ours was celebrated centuries ago by our mythologies and our grand epic religious tales. But the mythos within those all have continuity. We were just talking about the apple and how it transcends across several genres of mythology. It's true. There is definitely an interconnected world in Western mythos. And before I go too deep down that rabbit hole, I wanted to bring up another piece of animation that we thoroughly enjoyed as a Western animation audience, and that was Into the Spider-Verse. That was a truly astonishing leap in storytelling. they were doing things on screen that I had been praying CG animation would do for a long time. The distortion they were using to create this faux 3D effect, the usage of paneling and dialogue and sound effects flat on screen like Arcane was doing. Also, I've been begging for stuff like that to happen. It was the first time we saw a legitimate adaptation of the Spidey sense brought to screen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, animation, Western animation, you know, take a quick look. This is what we mean when we get all Captain America on your ass and go, you got to do better.
See, and
well, that's why I want more Marvel films, like stuff like Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier was great. I want more stuff like that. Give me more that kind of writing where we have more of this balance of seriousness to goofiness, because Marvel is just way too goofy right now. But anyways,
yeah. Remember your roots. Remember your roots.
Exactly.
Yep. And you know what? Captain America's Winter Soldier remembers its roots from a little film starring Robert Redford. And that is probably why Robert Redford is in that movie, Winter Soldier. And that is 3 Days of the Condor. If you don't know what I'm talking about, take a quick look. That is a spy genre of spy genres right there in that movie. Robert Redford is a book analyst that becomes a super spy because he's read a lot of books.
So yeah, if you had a choice, would you sit down and if you had to watch Netflix and you would sit down and you would get a generic Netflix show, your slop, take a classic anime like Cowboy Bebop and make it wokenized and dumb and Americanized, stupid, or would you rather sit down and watch a French show with actually IQ and intelligence and craftsmanship like this?
Yeah.
This is probably only one of the few good shows on Netflix. Luckily, I have I don't have Netflix, but I have the show. So I don't have to sit.
Avasi Mighties.
Sailing takes him away.
So,
Netflix.
How many strips of Gold Press Platinum did you have to pay for that?
Good question.
How many bars of Wi-Fi do you need?
Nice.
A full 5? I don't know.
The truth of the matter is speaking of Netflix as a body or a vessel of multiple pieces of entertainment, you know, they've been doing a lot of really great stuff. Okay, I'm sorry to say that I know that there are some issues with the show, but Stranger Things, that first season, was probably the best adaptation of what anime had been bringing to little girl superheroes since the beginning of magical girldom in anime. 11 is a character I didn't think I would ever see depicted properly in a live action film. She is everything that the bad guy in Akira is. Okay, she is a emotionally handicapped mental weapon on 2 feet. And ironically, as a pubescent girl, every time she uses her powers, she bleeds. Okay, there's something deeply biblical about such a thing.
Stigmata.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody understands. The more you read, the more these truths are become evident. Okay, but on the face of it, there's 10 and 11-year-old people out there that watch this show and just know it to be true. They can feel
Hold
it in
on,
their
gentlemen,
bones.
we got a bot.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
Oh, I guess we do.
Do we have a bot? Oh, and I wanted to say, do we still have Philip McCracken in the chat? Let's ask Philip McCracken what he meant by that initial chat in the that you guys were talking about up at the top of the chat.
What was that?
Ding dongs, yo,
Oh.
ding dongs. Crit
No.
don't get any snowballs.
It's Phil.
I don't even like snowballs. I like ding dongs, but
that's because you are one and so am I.
Well, that's okay. I think River Tam doesn't know how to eat a fried planet.
Puma Kraken, the resident troll who likes to come by everybody's channel.
He's professional.
Yes. But he's also a frequent guest on Pop Talk when we're talking about articles.
Well, when we feel like punishing ourselves, yes. I love you, Phil. I got your coupons for you.
Hello, Anonymous.
Oh. There
Oh
he is.
boy!
And guess what? You may not be on the panel, Anonymous. But guess
Shots fired.
Here we go.
Anonymous.
Best song on Sesame Street.
Right? Oh my gosh. So funny.
Oh my god.
It just works so well.
It
really
does.
It does.
Look at those gals. They're such a happy scene.
And then look at this response.
Here
it comes.
You knew it, Anonymous.
But you know what he's not saying is, I hate you, Mike. I hate you with passion.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I come by this channel.
He says every time he's on the panel, you do that. I hate you, Mike.
In this landscape of YouTube, it's an honor to be trolled.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
And I'm honored that it's Phil that's doing it.
And you know what? I don't know if you guys know, there's a character out there called Nosferatu the Vampire.
Oh, yeah.
Another classic prime pro troll for a chat. If he starts talking about how much he's currently drinking, you can expect great things to happen in your chat.
I haven't seen him around here yet.
Yeah, you got to happen by Wakazashi's Tea House or any of Zach's panels.
Oh, Zach's? He punishes Zach's? Cool.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's very attracted to Zach's masculine shoulders. So
he does have those masculine Canadian lumberjack shoulders, doesn't he?
He does.
Oh my!
Oh,
and you know what? Anonymous is pretty much telling us burning hell weirdos.
I have had enough of you!
What do you have against me? I don't play the song.
Guilt by association.
Yeah, I sing it, but I don't play it.
Only Bill Shatner can get away with such cheesiness on screen. I swear.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cringe up the wazoo, I swear. And he does it to Christopher Lloyd, no less.
Oh, I know.
But I mean, like, look at the lines he has in Star Trek 4. Like, he's got some really good, catchy lines.
Oh,
especially when he's at the pizza place, I think it is, with that woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that twinkle in his eyebrows when he drinks beer for the first time? Priceless!
I encourage it. Okay, thank you, Anonymous. I guess I am an enabler. But, what I got to say to you is double dumbass on you. There we go. There's a line from Star Trek 4.
I wanted that Klingon to turn around to Kirk and just go, I apologize for not painting it or making it to scale.
Well, Steven, you just mentioned one of my favorite movies, and yes, I do have a clip.
Oh.
But which one of the two clips that I have am I going to play?
You open a can of worms, Steven. You just open a can.
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts! Great Scott!
I still love him as Reverend Jim, though.
Oh, my goodness. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but the word Google is actually a mathematical term.
Yep.
So when Doc Brown in Back to the Future 3 says that she's one in a Googleplex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is one with 1,000 zeros, is it?
Is it
100
1,000
zeros? 10 to the 100th power, I think it is.
I think it's like 10 to the 100th power. I think, yeah, something like that.
Googleplex.
Yeah.
And it had to do with the scale of searchable words in the Google search device when it was initially conceived. And that's where it gets its term Google from, because it's more than a Googleplex. And just to give you an idea of how big one Google is in mathematics, somebody actually did an experiment where they extrapolated that if the whole Earth, all the way through, were made out of grains of sand, there would not be a Googleplex of grains of sand in that bottle. That's how big that number is.
Mm-hmm. It's much more impressive than Yahoo because that got his name because one founder's father kept on calling him a bunch of yahoos.
See what you did there, Baron.
But bump.
Well, this is not hooligans. Phantom otherwise.
Oh my God! I remember when AOL was first come into our existence. It's just we've come so far.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, for a while there was like America Offline because you couldn't get on there.
Right.
Do you know what the one that they had in Norway was called? Scandinavia Online, which was SOL, which also means shit out of luck.
Dude, I don't think a lot of these younger people could even handle like modems and like 28.8, 14.4. They could probably handle DLC, but that might be still too slow for them. I don't know if they could take it.
I don't know. I miss the sound though. I do miss the sound.
Well, one letter that AOL was missing and it was the W. Just put AW. Yeah.
AWOL, which is what most people used to do with Solitaire and then started doing with America Online. But I dated a woman for a couple of years around that same time that America Online was just becoming a thing in everybody's life. The inspiration for You've Got Mail is America Online, okay? This was right around the same time that a little video game called Myst was a part of everybody's life.
Oh, yeah.
So much so that they were talking about it on the news at night. She would go into chats under 3 different identities and have conversations with herself to stir up conversation with the other people in the chat. Okay? Just to think, just once again, just in case you thought any of this nonsense was new, this is what she was doing to herself back in 97?
Yeah, 96. Yeah, about 95, 96 is, that's when it was really starting off there. Well, I mean, it was, you remember BSs, don't you?
Yep, billboards and stuff like that.
Yeah, both
MRICs and stuff like that.
Well, in the Twin Cities, we had we had one. It went away. Then another one, and it was called Gambit. We called it Gumby Butt. And what was so unique, and what was unique about it was the guy was able to have 7 lines come in, so we had a chat room. It was the first chat, and this is like 1985, I think it was. And what was amazing is he had himself a 1 megabyte hard drive, which cost him, I don't know how much, but it was just insane.
In 1997, a friend of mine and I spent $2,700 on a Pentium 2 with 16 megs of RAM and 1.6 gigs of space on the hard drive. It was top of the line, baby. It was the most expensive built computer we had ever heard talked about, so that we could do 3D modeling in a 3D modeling software called TrueSpace by a company called Caligari that doesn't even exist anymore. It was glommed up by Microsoft, I think, in about 2002.
I think you're right. I think I think they're the ones that did eat it all up and then digested it and then pooped it out.
And again, I only bring these things up because present concerns about things going on in our scope of the universe around here with Twitter and Elon and Twitch and TikTok, all of these things pass. Something always comes along and trumps the others.
Yes.
Things continuously transform, and the line from Ratatouille will be eternally valid. Nature is change.
Yep.
And vice versa. So
Yes, and we can hope Pixar is going to find a brain again, because light mess is not the right direction.
yeah, you know what? Or not. Maybe Disney
not.
is on a slow decline to vanish from the scope of the universe. Who knows?
I don't know. There just needs to be some more better ideas again, man. I would like to see also Disney go darker again as well, like they used to in the past.
Well, I said before, I'll say again, I think it's going to go the way like the automobile companies did like about 10, 15 years ago, where they had to divest. They had to Oldsmobile came to the end. Ford sold off.
Disney, unfortunately, is part of life. You see kids on the street and they're wearing what are they wearing? Mickey Mouse pajamas.
Yeah.
But the merch will keep that company for alive.
Well, that's not where they're getting the money. It was from the parks. But the thing is they got so many things under them. Like I said, Ford Motor Company is still around, but they got rid of. They had Volvo. They had a Range Rover. They had Jaguar.
They were attached to Jaguar. They were attached to Volvo. All part of one major company.
And yet they divested those off. They got rid of Mercury. And that's what I'm seeing what's probably going to happen with Disney. They're going to, look at all that Disney has. They're going to have to start either divesting or getting rid of all these different divisions. So I'm going to see that they're probably going to either probably start selling off some of it to try to stay alive, because it's going to be holding them down. And it's going to be the same with the other companies out there. And it's not unheard of. It's happened before. And, So that's what I think is going to happen. Oh, hey, guess who's back?
All right.
Well,
and umbrella companies. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pacific.
I was going to say, now that we got another bot in the chat, all hands. This is the captain. Red alert.
I didn't see that. Did we? It's so strange that I didn't see the bot.
I saw this one though.
I saw this one too. Yeah.
I didn't see the early one, but I saw this one.
It was completely damaged.
Mr. Sue, sit Viagra to factories.
How many STDs did he get to all those aliens?
It's interesting. I've been watching the bot generation for as long as I've been on YouTube, and I still cannot necessarily figure it out. It seems to me that when you start talking about, when you use a handful of buzzwords together, like you were being eavesdropped on by some government organization, you mention corporate Disney finances, diversification, and boom, you'll get a bot within a few minutes. It's obviously listening, because we know that YouTube is doing a live analysis of our dialogue, because you can do subtitles on any stream you want. So therefore, it's definitely listening somehow. The words are being gathered and defined.
I just hope Arcane or Riot Games or that the French company who animated this is never bought by Disney.
No.
Get your grubby hands away from the
the one thing that we're running into a lot of problems with is these monopolies. They need to be broken up. If the FCC, like they originally wanted, that there needs to not be monopolies because there's too much control for one company. A lot of this stuff needs to be broken up.
Yeah, we need the trust busting. I don't think you're going to be hearing about Disney buying much of anything nowadays. Like I said, they're hurting bad. I mean, their Star Cruiser has flopped. The attendance to the parks, which was their bread and butter, is dropped significantly, and now they're going to have to start this. And people aren't necessarily rushing to see the films like they were, despite what they try to tell us. So now they're in that conundrum. Okay, what do we get rid of, and who do we get rid of, and who do we bring on, so we can have better entertainment and deliver what we're supposed to be doing.
Well, in DC, they've got to, if they want to really punch Disney in the mouth, punch as in, the Marvel and stuff as a company, then they need to come out with a lot of good content. I mean, I wish we could get a movie about I don't know, Nightwing and Batman.
Right.
Not even an
it's an
animated
absolute
film or even a
travesty
live action.
that we have yet to see Batman and Robin live action on screen properly.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that silliness that Warner Brothers did a bunch of years back.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, I'm for crying out loud, how did the 1967 joke series, Batman, how did that do it better than has ever been executed in live action before? It at least was seriously genuine to its own source material, because that's what they really talked like in the original comic books.
Yeah, and they didn't, like Robin becomes Robin in The Dark Knight Rises, which the way they did that, I didn't mind that at all.
No, that was a fantastic way to spin the character off.
Yes, I agree.
Remantling, I guess you could call it.
Yeah. Yeah, and even Robin in the animated show, even the goofiness, but he wasn't bad. The one they got for live action wasn't a bad Robin at all.
No,
it's just
mishandled.
There was obviously,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the big important thing you said there, Stephen. They had more respect for the source material, and what's his name that did the the Batman and Robin movie for Warner Brothers. He's too busy putting bat nipples on things, except for Batgirl, and just trying to be, irreverent. And that's the problem. You can't be irreverent to this. You have to have reverence. You can have fun with it, but be reverent to it.
Yeah, and I want to bring up something. I don't know if anybody noticed on Twitter earlier today. I posted a link to a YouTube video interviewing Gene Wilder. On the subject of Young Frankenstein. If you haven't seen it, you could check it. It's from today's tweets. Just go to my my Twitter account and check out my current tweets for the past 24 hours or so.
Yeah,
it's linked there. But he talks about exactly what we're talking about. He did not allow his writing of Young Frankenstein to deviate away from the seriousness of its own universe, but they still allowed it to have fun. He goes into a lot of detail on his thought process, including some deep battles with Mel Brooks on the subject of how certain things should and shouldn't be in this universe, why they chose black and white, why they ramped up the noirness of the black and white, and how they used it as a device to keep the show grounded within its own universe of Frankenstein, because it was celebrating a black and white movie. All of these things are artistically important to the aesthetics of the universe you're trying to build. And if you don't allow it to remain serious, then you don't have Jeopardy. You don't invent drama. It doesn't work. It doesn't happen. That's why all of this tongue-in-cheek nonsense in the current cinematic universes is unacceptable. It's like, stop breaking the continuity of the drama, you retards. What the hell?
Well, exactly. I think that's what Gene Wilder was saying. That was his only time he had an argument with Mel Brooks. But you look at Animal House. Again, that was a serious film with insanity around it. Even Airplane, the first Airplane.
Yes.
That movie, everybody played it straight. It was the situation around it.
That's right. The universe didn't know it was a comedy.
Exactly. And that's what made it so great. That's even the Police Squad TV show did the same thing.
Yeah, they only had 6 episodes, and they moved on to movies, and
right.
And I know.
Didn't do as good a job as
the Naked Gun movies are still, even the story's not as good as 1 and 2's pretty funny, but there's a lot of funny stuff in there.
Oh yeah,
in all 3 of them.
Wait a minute. When it comes to the Naked Gun movies, there's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Move along.
Move along. Yeah.
It's just
Move along home.
even,
Move along home.
even the
Elevate.
bathroom, even the bathroom humor in those movies are just—it's just funny. It's just-
Yeah.
Damn.
Well,
Did you
some
say
of it-
bathroom?
Well, in some ways, it's
Watch it,
realistic because
Crit.
it happened.
You know what he's? Yeah, I know. Right? I swear, it's like those
Yeah.
trigger words for crit, there, Mike.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man.
Yes. The pilot in Airplane definitely brings up some interesting topics, specifically gladiator movies.
Well, I don't know about you, but this is the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. That's all I got.
Oh my God, that woman with the
And
horse.
on that note, gentlemen, if you would like to promote your channels, now would be a good time.
Anybody?
Everest. We have a upcoming holiday streams. Woohoo.
Oh, holiday.
We're going to be reviewing some Christmas and Thanksgiving movies.
Do that in December.
Oh,
Doing films. All right.
Almarine, all the way.
I'm still
Don't
waiting.
make me play
for
the clip.
Halloween in
You know
summer.
which clip I'm talking about. Don't make me play it.
I think this week we will vote on a movie. We will do the wheel, and then we will do a retrospective on it. But it will be on my Lord Crit channel, even though I say sub to the Everest, because I'll do it since they changed the layout of the channel. We'll do on the Everest channel.
The Baron throws his hands at the camera at you. And now he is doing the Picard for all eternity.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you done, Crit?
Yeah.
How about you, Cash Money?
Yeah, I'm gonna finally push myself this week. Hopefully, I know, right? To finally play Saints Row 2, because basically when I finally do those streams, which hopefully be this week, I want to make a point that do not play the reboot of Saints Row. That's one of the few games that I can say to don't play the reboot. Everything that I've seen just makes me want to tell people to stay away from that game.
You sure about that, Cash?
Sure.
Are you sure?
You mean about staying away or playing the game?
Playing the game. Playing the game.
This is the Cash's face when he plays the new Saints.
He's always playing the game. That's why he's Cash Money.
But it's still a work in progress, Mike. But I'm going to try to push myself this week. So yeah,
nice,
very nice. And as far as this channel is concerned, there may or may not be.
What about our special guest down below? Does he have anything to plug?
Yes, yes, I do. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be on Roman of the Empire, and we're going to be discussing villains and bad guys in cinematic history. So, and I'm going to make sure, as a panel member that is very much into the 2D arts, that anime and animation supervillains will also be included. So I'll be there to represent the animated films as well. And on Friday, let's see what time that is. That's 4 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to be on Jacob Ironside's channel, and we're going to be doing some loose discussion. I forget exactly. He did definitely mention to me, but what the topic was, but I can't off the top of my head remember what it was. So I'll be tweeting about that and certainly retelegraphing it at the end of Roman's show. But Roman of the Empire, 5 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday, and Jacob Ironside, 4 p.m. Pacific time on Friday.
That's Pacific 414 time. And for me, I'm retooling my channel a little bit, trying to get some ideas. I'll probably bang heads with Lord Crit and Mike and Cash Money about what to do about that. But I do have my own channel that you can see the past shows I have and the shorts I have put out there. Catch me, of course, here with Pop Talk with good old Mike. every Wednesday, I try to hang out and torment him. Tuesday Night Trek with Master Paul. I try to hang out with the boys at Pulp Culture Minefields, the Saturday morning show, every Saturday, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. And with the KDTV, with King Dolphin TV, that's usually about 4 o'clock Central Standard Time on their channel. Every Sunday, 5 o'clock, roughly thereabouts, Central Standard Time, is, of course, the Primetime Kings, me, 24/7 Fusion Media, and the ever mysterious Vigilante Williamson. So that's usually what I get myself busy with.
Very nice.
Did I do
Now-
that good? Was it,
Yes, you did. Yes,
okay,
you did.
Great. Thank you. I need foundation.
All right. Or I could give you a swift kick in the butt.
Well, that's validation for me.
Only if it's swift.
Yeah, it's got to be swift, okay?
And as far as this channel is concerned, yes, there will be my review of episode 7 of Chucky. Season 2 is almost over. Chucky. Not
Chucky.
Loki.
His favorite new show.
Up Chucky.
Loki's play.
How much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? How about that?
You know what? I was hoping I wouldn't have to play this clip tonight, but obviously I'm going to have to play it because certain panelists, they just,
All right, youngster, out you go.
Don't come back. Ever.
All right. So, yeah. As you can see here, now there's only 3 of us. All right. Get that off my screen. Get it off the screen now, Crit.
Absolutely
There's something seriously wrong with us. There's something seriously wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stripes.
Anyhow.
There's proof. His nose is cold.
Anyhow, what's coming up on this channel? Well, like I said, tomorrow I'll be reviewing episode 7 of Chucky. And then Saturday is an open panel stream, which is usually what Pop Talk is. But since we wanted to talk about Arcane, I wanted to keep it to a confined group. And Saturday will be an open panel stream celebrating the 3-year anniversary of the channel here on this platform. I might do the Sunday edition of Pop Talk Sunday, but it'll be at a later time, depending on how long the Saturday stream goes. And then, of course, just before Thanksgiving, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I'll be giving my live reaction and review of the season finale of Chucky for season 2. And another stream I'm looking forward to on Pop Talk, which will be a panel like this. I know Baron is going to be there. I know Crit's going to be there. I know Cash is going to be there. Perhaps Pops is going to be there. I don't know. I have to talk with him, but he does seem interested. Well, we're going to really, we're going to talk about a movie that really ties your collection together, man. Yeah, well, that's your opinion, man. Yes, I think you know which one I'm talking about. And of course, as you all know, sometimes on Pop Talk, we can go over the line.
That was a pretty good John Goodman.
Well, sometimes I can do a good impression. Sometimes I fall flat. But anyways, that is what's coming up on the channel. Of course, I'll continue my game streams of either Ninja Gaiden or Batman Arkham Asylum or Ninja Gaiden. I'll just try to find even a little bit of time to get those streams in. But I will also be on a live stream with Joker Voice this Friday. I will make sure to put out the link to that stream on social media. So, a lot going on.
Wait till he starts playing Animal Crossing.
I just wanted to say something. I
That'd be
know it
fun
was
to play
kind of a
with, Jim.
joke that you brought up. Oh, but Loki's on that night. You know, and I know that there's some humor and some truth to that sort of thing. But I wanted to present a concept to the panel and to the audience out there, even on the review. You know, I would ask you to take a look at all of your subscriptions and the viewing that you actually do, and try to evaluate your time towards younger channels that actually need support. There's some criminally undersubscribed channels out there that I currently support. I think the largest channel that I view on a regular basis has barely crested 5,000 subscribers. And some of the smaller ones are still all under 1,000. And I'm talking about guys like Wakazashi's Tea House. I'm talking about people like Salty Texas Sea that are still actually struggling in comparison to some of their, co-hosts like Zach's, who is just blown up
He's
overnight.
exploded, man.
Wow,
He's become a juggernaut. He's actually bigger than Dick's division at this point. So, and I'm not saying that these guys don't deserve your time. 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser certainly deserves your time, but I would suggest that you check out That 70s Rock Fan.
He's a great guy.
And Snow Dub and his Cotton Council. There's some seriously good entertainment out there that just needs a little bit more love. And if you've got the time, spend it on a channel that needs some subscribers. Share that channel out. Even if you don't stay for long, they will blush at the idea that you just said hello and dropped them a like. It's true.
And that's another thing. Make sure if you're going to their channel and they're doing a live stream that you say something in chat. This way you're recognized. I'm not talking about your username, but you're recognized as a view. When you give that like, it actually will help push up that channel.
That's right.
And if someone says subscribe to this channel, don't just go over there and hit the red subscribe button. Actually watch their content for, say, 5 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, give it just enough time to really settle into the reality that you were there.
Yeah.
Not for them, for the algorithm. Because, when the ocean rises, we all rise together. Okay? And when we start talking about the fellowship, if you really believe such concepts, start practicing. Legitimately. Take a walkabout. Every once in a while, when I'm not busy, I'll just keep looking and seeing who's live. And I'll do a live stream walkabout. Just popping by. How you doing, guys? On a walkabout. Pop over to the next channel. What's up, gents? How you doing? Recognize a few people in the chat. Say hello. Honor the host. Move on. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of live streams out there. Sometimes content you've never even known existed out there happening tonight.
And I'm going to say this too. Don't do it out of sympathy or pity. Do it because you actually want to do it.
Yeah. Be a warrior. Be a Ronin, man. Wander the fields, man. Stop by a village and tell everybody things are going to be okay. Things are going to be okay. We're all in this together, kids.
Yep.
And I know this probably annoys some people when I do it, but if I'm watching a stream and I'm really enjoying it, I will share it out on Twitter.
Hell yeah.
It's up, Cash.
What?
I'm kidding.
Excuse me, Baron. Do I have to throw you out the window? Okay.
Well,
someday we're all going to look back on the content of Ryan Roger Atherton. Atherton? Is that his actual last name?
Ryan Roger Atherton.
Right, yes. His content will eventually become an encyclopedia of actual rising stars that actually rose to stardom. And we'll look back and somebody will go, oh, I heard about this channel. And they'll go do a search. And one of Ryan Rogers' streams will show up with a full interview of that guy, and they'll be like, oh my God, look at how young he is. Oh, this must be before he grew or shaved off his beard, or her, her hair color changed, or this is before she got married, or whatever, So, doing these histographs of these personalities, that's content as well. And don't go past the idea that YouTube will become a legacy property to some future corporation as well. This is all archived someplace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And really, like, if we've had a stream on Mike's channel before and some other channels, but if you're thinking about doing a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel, just go out, be as entertaining as possible, and try to do something different. And also pay attention to your chat. It doesn't matter if you're on YouTube, but if you're live chatting, acknowledge the people are there. They're there supporting you.
Yeah, and if you need a reminder, some suggestions that I've heard is get yourself one of those visible egg timers. Set it for a 1-minute clock. Every 1 minute, that alarm clock goes off silently. You check your chat. You acknowledge it. You scroll through there. You could disregard interpersonal conversations within the chat and just go to the ones that speak about the content of the stream. However you want to play it, it's your chat to analyze. But you've got an audience. Acknowledge them, wave at them.
Acknowledge them and network with people, because there are good people out there. Like, I didn't expect to find people like Mike. Mike wanted me on this is when we started Tuesday Night Track. Mike wanted me, I think it was on his 100th subscription stream. Yeah,
almost a year ago.
Aaron from there, and just other people, and so people are like-minded, and they just are been working together. Like, I've done streams with Mike on my channel, and we've done streams on his channel, and there's other people like Crit, and I've done stuff with Baron, and just keep networking and keep finding people, and don't let YouTube stop you. And also, I want to point this out too. If YouTube is telling you to do shorts, it doesn't mean you need to do shorts.
No.
You can do whatever you want on your channel. There's so many ways to grow your channel.
I mean, I did a short before tonight's stream, just talking about tonight's stream, saying what we're going to be talking about on the show, just to get it out there. But when I say welcome one and all on this channel, when I start a video, I mean it. I welcome one person or all people of all different backgrounds and beliefs. You want to come here, you want to chat on Pop Talk on an open panel, then come on. Don't be shy. We're not going to bite. We're not going to shun you. We want to hear different opinions. I especially want to hear different opinions. I don't want to hear my own voice. I hate hearing my own voice.
But you got such a nice voice.
Are you kissing ass? Are you sucking up?
I just don't want to get thrown out again.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
Boots. Or as Placid Phoenix would say, anybody that agrees with Baron, just unsub to me and everybody else on the channel.
Yeah, and also if you have a stream or you want to start a stream, don't be afraid to make jokes and get people to laugh and stuff. And when people come into the channel and they're having a bad day or something, ask them what's going on.
Yep.
And tell them
That's
things
right.
are going to get better.
Be Buckaroo Banzai. Stop the band, move the spotlight, and find out why that girl in the corner is crying.
Oh, Anonymous.
Why Anonymous? Come on, man.
Oh, no.
Come on, man. Anonymous.
Where did that come from?
That's great.
Crit.
Oh, Crit did that. Okay.
Crit. These soundboards are absolute gold sometimes. I swear. I mean, I've heard some soundboard guys. Tom on Midnight's Edge, he's a genius with it, but I've seen some others. Fat Steven Seagal has been thoroughly impressive with some of his techniques.
Oh.
And some of these animated avatars, oh my God, guys. I mean, seriously, some of this stuff is getting so crazy. I mean, I remember Max Headroom, and that was a fiction. And now we're actually living in a reality where you could go to a website and turn your head into a version of a 3D animated feature character in a series we were just talking about. I mean, we're living in a crazy world. We have some insane technology at our fingertips. You go to Jedi Bill's channel and you could see a dragon sing like a god. Okay, it's a pretty crazy world out there.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Jedi Bill, watch his karaoke streams. You'll have a lot of fun watching them.
Yeah, there's some startlingly good voices out there. I mean, Dark Gift. Wow. And I forget the gentleman's name, but you know the dragon I'm talking about, Pacific. I'm sure you may have seen him on Jedi Bill's channel before.
Yeah.
He has got some voice of angel coming out of his lungs there. It's amazing. You know, deleted scenes. He's on a good night. He comes into his own. Man, that guy can sing.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, you know, I've been on Troy Pacelli's stream before, and Troy does great work, and his wife Netter does great work, and Steven's Amato over there. And you should see how quick Steven's able to get everybody's links out into the chat. It's like he's Quick Draw McGraw.
Yeah, he's dedicated to his little craft, that's for sure. And, you know, that's another thing, too. When you show up at a channel, say hello to the wrenches, man. Show some respect. Those guys are, those men and women of the wrench. They're out there. They're working. I mean, I've seen what goes on FNT, and, you know, those wrenches are working. Those gals and guys on that channel, they're getting some work done. Dick's Division 2. That chat is moving at hyper speeds, and they're tagging things and doing things and saying hello to people, and that they're doing it for real. And some of them are doing it on 2 channels at once.
Yeah.
So
Eric K comes to mind.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. Eric K, he's a multi-dimensional being. He must be.
I barely can handle my own dimension.
Right? And yes, old man, I really do live in Los Angeles. I'm not joking. Koreatown. I am protected by the nationality of Korea.
Yeah, I'm in
Los
California
Angeles.
too, man. Southern California. So.
Yep. Right. You know, rooftop Korean. That's a reality around here.
Oh, I know. Yes. I wish I had rooftop Koreans around here.
And I live next to a Korean-owned and operated YMCA, as well as a Buddhist temple, and 2 Korean churches up the block from me in either direction. So I am very, very safe in Los Angeles. Los Angeles, don't give up on California just yet. There's more bass over here than anybody realizes. Don't believe the hype. And it's really true. Just like on Twitter, the reality is not necessarily what the media is telling you.
Exactly.
Everybody that I've ever spoken to on political subjects in Los Angeles, face to face, they don't know what the media is talking about. And the gay community is very close behind on that one too. They are not happy that their symbols are being exploited by groups they do not condone. And I've gotten that from the horse's mouth in Los Angeles. That is a reality. They are not happy with the way this is all being rolled out. So don't believe everything you hear in the media. It's not all entirely true. Hollywood can shift on a dime, and it has done in the past.
Absolutely.
Okay, it wasn't like this 15 years ago, and 5 years from now, it may turn on its heels.
Yep, it just might. And there's still some nice places in California now. Some of the things that the media is telling you about California are 100% true.
That is also true. That is also true. I have had some very strange conversations where I'm like, wow, this election is so divisive, and they're like, yeah, we should hang that guy Trump. I'm like, okay, I'm backing away slowly. I'm sorry I even mentioned it. Like that's a reality out here too, but not in the quantities that you may think. A lot of people are marking time and surviving their career.
Yep, there are red areas here too. Probably more in Orange County. I don't know so much about places like
just
LA.
outside of city limits, we got Bakersfield. We've got farming territory. The places around Orange County, San Diego, Long Beach.
I was going to say, because I'm originally from the San Diego area, San Diego County has certain areas that are very conservative.
Yep.
Even today.
Yeah. Seal Beach is still a Navy town.
All I can sit back and say, if Cash Money runs for office, I'll mail in my ballot from Minnesota.
Sweet. I appreciate it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I
ahead,
do
Mike.
want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank Joker Voice and Paul for being here earlier. Steven, thank you for accepting the invite.
Cheers.
Cash, thank you for being here. Crit, thank you for being here. Baron,
You're welcome,
thank
man.
you.
You've ever got
Happy to be here. Happy to also talk to you again, Steven. I think I've talked to you before in chat.
Yes, and I think I've seen you either on this panel or something very similar to it before in your red-coated garb, I think, last time I saw you.
Yes. Vash.
And it was great talking with you, Stephen, as well.
Cheers, Baron.
Cheers to you.
I do want to thank the old man for being here as well. And of course, Anonymous. Anonymous.
He's gonna beat us up one day.
Oh, he's going to get us.
Yep.
We're marked men. We've got the death sentence on 12 channels.
Nice. He's still toting that tower, too. I absolutely adore that tower of his.
The Troll Among Trolls, Phil McCracken. We got your coupons, Phil. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. I got that special channel for him to have his coupons.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least Paul does.
Phil is like Beetlejuice. If you say his name too many times, he'll pop up.
No. If you play a certain clip, he'll show up. I'm not playing it.
Oh, and just a reminder, let me see if I could bring up this exactly, but Leah Rose will be on Pop's channel in about 18 hours.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Talking
Nice.
Star Wars and religions.
Very cool.
She'll be doing an open discussion with Pops on all of the international religious tropes that are built into the Star Wars universe. Certainly to be a fascinating discussion. And I don't know Leia Rose well enough, but if Pops invited her on as a talking point, guaranteed she's got some stuff to say.
She's sweet. For some reason, she likes me and follows me around. So,
Aw.
no accounting for taste.
I've known Leia for a while now. She's chill.
Yeah,
She's been a great supporter of this channel.
Yeah, she's been a great supporter of all of us here, so we all appreciate her.
Yes.
And of course, we also had a visit by Brian, the Nerdporeal Life Form.
Do we have to acknowledge him?
Yes, I always acknowledge him.
He's just waiting.
He's another one
plug.
that's like Gene Hackman, just a working man. He is a working man, that guy.
He is good. I love him. He's a great guy. That's why I pick on him. I kid because I love.
Yeah, I pick on him too. He started picking on me first. I'm like, all right, it's payback time.
And of course, Baron, thank you.
Yeah.
And let's see who else we had. Of course, we had Pops. It's always nice to see Pops. And like I said, he has expressed interest in the Big Lebowski stream. So
that'll be great.
That'll be fun.
Nice. Yeah, he's a great voice to get on, and certainly worth the struggle to make the schedule work with him, because he brings a certain audience with him of let's call it certified legitimacy. He's an actual knowledge base for the comic book universes. He knows what he's talking about, and if he doesn't know, he gives it an honest glance and will give it a fair shake before he passes judgment. And that's becoming rarer and rarer to find on YouTube. That's for sure.
And what was nice about having Pops on, one time on the channel. I mean, he's been on more than once,
Mhm.
but there was a time where it was him and the Padawannabe who were on here. It was an edition of Pop Talk, and they got to talking about comic books because of an article that I had read. And after they were done, they were apologizing. I'm going, guys, you don't have to apologize. If I wanted to move on from the subject matter, I would have told you guys. But I was enjoying your conversation, your back and forth.
Meanwhile, he makes me apologize all the time.
Well, because it's you, Baron.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Just as a rule of thumb, when you're on a panel, respect the host in two different ways. You know, be honest, be noble, and be generous, but at the same time, be respectful. It's somebody else's panel. If it's your channel, feel free to discuss things as you wish to discuss. But if you're on somebody else's show, try to show a little grace. You know, this is not an easy thing to host, and respect that they will stop you, or that they should stop you in consideration of the other panel members from doing anything that would jeopardize the show. You know, so be a gentle soul.
Yeah, and like I said, if somebody is talking about a topic with another panelist and I'm enjoying it and you don't hear me say anything, it's because I myself am enjoying it. I'm noticing that other panelists are enjoying it. And when I'm looking over the chat and I'm seeing that the chat's enjoying it, I'm gonna let it keep going. That's just how I operate.
You are a benevolent dictator. That's what I gotta say.
Nice.
The
The host is like a DM. It's like a DM, Matt. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I sometimes I expect a TKO sometime, or no TPK. Sorry, TPK. Total party kill.
No, I mean, why kill a conversation, especially when everybody's enjoying it?
Oh, I know exactly. You're very good about that. You're very good at letting let conversations go, and you know, people kind of go off topic a little bit. And you're very. I found, Mike, you're one of the most gracious hosts that I've dealt with out there. So,
Well, you know, I was gonna save this for Saturday, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. I never envisioned myself doing this. Whenever I saw a YouTube video or somebody, you know, talking about a TV show, watching Nerdrotic in the beginning, Doomcock in the beginning, Clownfish TV, or anybody who's been doing this longer than I have, I never envisioned myself doing this. And then one day I got the bright idea because I would always, you know, post them on Facebook, the results of the Cub game and give my opinion. I started doing recaps of the Cubs. But I knew I didn't want that to be the center of the channel. I didn't want to put this channel in a box, not in the name or not in the content. So I started expanding it, doing episode reviews, movie reviews, doing gameplay. Last year, coming up with Pop Talk. I wanted this to be a variety of channel where there's a variety of content. One of the fun streams I've had on this channel happened this year. The first collector's stream, followed by the second collector's stream. Doing the wrestling streams and having Loki as a guest. And doing the video game stream. I've really enjoyed that. Anytime I get to meet and interact with new people and we all get to know each other a little more, that's what I appreciate. The fact that we're reaching out to one another and getting to know one another beyond seeing the username in the chat. Actually hearing the person's voice and hearing their thoughts come out of their mouth. I mean, Paul last year invited me to be on Tuesday Night Trek, and if he hadn't done that, I wouldn't have met Crit. I wouldn't have met Cash. You know, Nerdporial being a great supporter of this channel. Brandon the anime guy. being a great
Yeah.
supporter of this channel. And, being able to talk with him on Tuesday Night Trek. And being able to help support fellow content creators, especially when Brandon's channel was, taken down and tweeting at YouTube saying, "Why'd you do this? Come on. What's the matter with you?"
Yeah. Yeah. And, that goes both ways as well. It's an adventure to start your own channel. But at the same time, it's not a requirement. Doing this is not necessarily for every single person out there. Being an audience member, being a member of the chat, those are also two different layers to this party that is happening. Participating in a chat takes a certain kind of technique. Not everybody is capable of participating in a chat. Some people are just eavesdropping or, lurking or whatever. If you don't feel you're up for it, don't be abashed, man. Some of these people are genuinely really talented. And some of them break and they don't even understand why they're breaking. They're just going to keep running up that hill. And I've seen some super geniuses try to apply their super genius and completely fail at it. So don't be troubled by your woes of doing this. Keep plugging at it. Keep trying new things. You never know what's really going to break. And don't be concerned that certain things don't break, because you don't want to get stuck in a bottle either.
No.
Right.
I mean, being asked to join, different discussions about different topics and going, you want me on there. And not being able to wrap my head around it as to why. But then, you hear other people say things that they notice about your channel, and it's why they asked you to be on. It's like, well, thanks, but really, I'm just doing this because I enjoy doing live streams. I do more live streams than I upload videos because I enjoy the interaction.
Yeah.
I don't think Loki publishes any pre-recorded videos. He's openly acknowledged that he is a hyper control freak and just cannot figure out how to edit his ego. So he just live streams. He won't allow himself to sit down in an editing booth and try and figure out how to hone this show down. He's just refused himself the opportunity by going live all the time.
And there's a man who busts his ass to put out a live stream each and every morning for each and every one of us who want to stop by and give him a chance. That's all you have to do is give a content creator a chance.
Exactly. And Loki's crazy. I say that in a good way. I mean, the energy and all that. Boy, I wish I had that. Just this much. Can I have your pinky energy to get me going? And all that hard work, and the most important thing is the love. As I always tell people, this is fun. It should be fun. When it's not fun, then I guess it's not time anymore. If you start changing your route to I gotta fit algorithms and all that, you've lost the way. The way is just being who you are. That's how you brought people in to watch you. That's how you brought other people to be panelists if you have a show, or to be invited as a panelist. If you be, we play roles a little bit on here. I mean, obviously some of us have, nom de plumes. Some of us or whatever, but we still bring ourselves to the game and be ourselves. And if you start, stop being yourself, that's when people notice that, when you start paying attention to things other than the important things like the people in the chat and also the lurkers. They're just as important as well.
And don't kid yourself, Baron. I completely agree with you. The human ear can hear if you're not genuine.
Mm-hmm.
They can feel it. They can
Right.
smell it on
Mhm.
your voice.
Right.
If you're not being genuine because you're having a bad day, you know what? Relieve yourself of the responsibility and admit it to the audience. I'm
Mhm.
just not feeling it today, guys. I don't know what it is, but you know what? We're gonna plug through this, just like Hofcast does. He goes, you know what, bosses? I'm not feeling this article, but you know what?
Mhm.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this article anyway, because we're good like that, bosses. And that's the way Hofcast rolls. You know, it's
Right. Being in radio, that was the one thing that was, told me. It's like, when you're on the air, smile, be whatever, because they can hear your smile. They can hear your what you're doing. And if you're trying to sound happy and all that, you look like this, they can tell. They can tell that it's being phoned in. And just if you're real with people, you're honest with people.
And even when you're playing a game and you're confused and you're frustrated, just keep plugging along. Just don't give up, because it's so satisfying, especially when other people are watching you. They want to play a game, and when people were like, "Oh, why would anyone want to watch someone play a game? They should just buy it themselves." Well, it's not just them playing the game; it's the interaction.
Yeah.
It's and bringing also comedy. I have noticed reading, like if you're playing Life is Strange, read the comments. Ask people in chat if you want. What do you guys think? What choice I should pick? What do you guys think?
exactly. I was just gonna say, if you're not feeling it, let your audience bolster your personality. They are more than willing. God, some of them are actually dying to encourage you. That they're living for the opportunity to encourage you. Some of these people are coming from lives that we don't know anything about, and that you are their life for that moment. So give them the opportunity to be your savior. For a few seconds. You'd be surprised. I've seen some chats bolster some people up out of rock solid, poor decisions. There's a music maker out there called Wintergarten, and he's making a marble machine. And I've seen him down in the dumps, and I've seen his audience rise him back and bring him back from the brink. And he's now back streaming again, where he abandoned ship. And this is a guy with 1.5 million subscribers. So if you build an audience, give them the opportunity to be your friend.
And what you were just saying there, Stephen, is that's one of the unique things that we have as YouTubers that a lot of people don't have: the interaction, instantaneous reaction, and interaction with the people in the chat. You like you're saying, 1 million subscribers, and you're talking to somebody individually in the chat, or a group of people in the chat. That means something. That means you haven't lost the way, and it goes back and forth. You can cheer the people up. Someone's in the chat says something's wrong, you cheer them up, or you see it. The chat comes up there. It's like, come on, man, we can do it. Like we do with Paul when he was playing Mass Effect. As a peanut gallery. Come on, Paul, you can do it. Come on, one more time. That's the important thing. We have that immediate response that people don't get with television, doing television shows, or other forms of media. This does have that. It brings to that another level that we are not just panelists, but everybody's family in one fashion or another.
Yeah, and the other thing is, just wanted to add, Steve, before
go ahead.
Is that, like, if you really don't want to speak on a stream and you're playing a game, then do something, I would probably say, funny. Get yourself killed in the game. Do something else. If you really don't want to talk, though, I would always suggest people there should be commentary. I always find it funny when somebody's like, well, this game should not have commentary because if it did, it would be stupid. I'm like, how do you know it would be stupid? Like, that's just ignorant to say.
Yeah, it's just some pretension that you're trying to force on the subject matter.
I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be stupid because we're having fun.
That's
Nothing wrong with being stupid or talking stupid.
And I want to acknowledge something else too. The reason why people watch game streams is because not everybody is either interested, equipped, or capable of playing the game at any level.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And I said a long time ago when I first started noticing, the first time I ever witnessed live interaction over the internet on a combat game where I was playing somebody on the other side of the planet in Soul Calibur, I couldn't believe my eyes that this was actually happening. I'm like, how am I pushing a button here and they're blocking it on the other side of the planet? How is this even happening in real time? It boggles my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are not equipped to be able to do this. I'm streaming right now over my phone, and my backup panel is my iPad, and I've got that busted into 2 windows so that I could see the YouTube and do some exploration on Google to do searches and bring up cast lists and stuff like that. And that's it. That's all I've got. I don't have a laptop. I haven't had a laptop in years. And I can tell you as a YouTuber who doesn't do much content on their own channel, I just recently logged my 101st live stream in the last 3-4 months. And it still makes me excited when somebody acknowledges me in their chat. Okay? So this never gets old.
Mm.
No, not at all.
True.
Not at all. Nor should it.
Nope.
It should help keep the fires going. Should keep us, excited every time you sit down and turn on the camera or the microphone or whatever it is. It should be like, yeah, let's have fun. Let's have party. Let's get dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And when you lose your way because things happen in your life or whatever, there can be other streamers on YouTube or even Twitch that can inspire you to start wanting, you know what? I want to do this again.
Yeah,
Right.
It's true. I had some drama happen recently where I was on another channel and the host finally revealed themselves to be the bully that everybody was telling me they were. And I got so miserably depressed that I just sat back for about a week. I couldn't even listen to anybody on YouTube. I was because the potential of this host was so powerful. It still pisses me off just thinking about it, that this person finds negative attention more profitable than positive attention. And it boggles my mind. It just blows my mind that he would rather burn a bridge as a form of advertising than support people that support him. It's just mind-boggling.
It's sad.
And this is just my own personal belief. You can do all the negative content that you want, but eventually that well's going to dry up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it will. I agree. And a lot of people, even when I started like on Twitch in 2016, 2017, people said, bring that positive energy, bring that positive energy. So it's important.
I mean, tonight's a perfect example. Like I said earlier, we could be talking about, different topics, different news articles, and me butchering Japanese names.
I love that part.
But, it's all right. We'll bring on Phil, and
he'll do it.
But talking about something like Arcane, I think it's important.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is important.
Yes.
It shows that we are not just what the naysayers say that we are. They're too busy out there saying about how we're negative, S-phobes, all that fun stuff. It's like, no.
Yeah.
When we do have the stuff out there that we love, we praise it to high heaven because we want more of this.
Yeah, and we acknowledge it because even in our own chat this evening, Nerdporial revealed himself to be a non-witness to the show.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't watched it yet.
Yeah.
Nerdporial,
I know,
who is
right?
allegedly part of this whole community, hasn't watched a single episode of this?
I never heard of him. Who's this Nerdporial?
Yeah, I heard he's a stand-in for Michael Chiklis. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, so he's Michael Chiklis's.
Wait a minute.
son.
I thought he was as his stand-in.
He could do that too.
Does he have the British accent?
He's the more athletic
Does
version of
not.
Az.
No.
Slightly more athletic.
Slightly more.
And with a more severe camera angle.
Yeah. He does have that. He does have that unique camera angle when he's on the show.
Yeah, it is true. It's becoming the nerdporial angle. Almost like the Dutch angle. It's the nerdporial angle. It almost should be an article show called the Nerdporial Angle.
I think, yeah, you're absolutely right.
You know, it's like me and Cash's friend Monty. Like Monty told me, like, you know, he's a voice actor and he does he gets paid. He's been in some big videos, like the Star Wars Larry video.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He was the voice of Obi-Wan on that video.
Okay.
Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Well, he said that the stuff that me and Cash does is more meaningful to him than the ones where he gets paid a lot, because he and what he does for us, he does it for free, because he said that it's more serious and it's more meaningful, and it's the same with the streams. It's more meaningful to me. It's if you put your passion to it, you make friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can bust each other's chops, have fun. It's like, hey,
yes,
it's it lifts you. I mean, all you guys lift me up. I mean, I've been going through some tough times lately, but you guys, 24, Vigilante, all the people I work with have been doing a great job of getting me going and getting me back on track, and I hope to be getting a lot further. But I really look forward to being with all of you. It means a lot to me, and I am humbled, especially when people start saying good things and all that about me. I try to brush it off, but I'm just humbled that of what we've got going here.
Yeah,
amongst all of us, and this little network. I guess you can sit back and say a network of friends here, and I always look forward to it. And of course, interacting like this is the first time with Steven. It's great meeting the new ones, and again having a new friend, a new person to cross swords with. Sometimes, or in a good way, or make agreements, or critique, or just chew the fat.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of chewing the fat, there was a Saturday where it was yourself, Cash, Spock, and I, and that's what we did during a live stream. We just shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't planned. It wasn't something I was thinking about doing. I just happened to go live, and you guys hopped in, and we just started shooting the shit.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell are you doing?
And those are the best kind of streams, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
the kind of streams where there is no plan. Let's just see where it goes.
Exactly.
And real quick, I do want to say thank you to Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective.
Yeah, I love the guinea pigs.
Yeah. Yep. Pop Culture Mechanic as well was stopped in. I haven't even had the opportunity to watch 90% of what the guy is doing, but he's doing some trade streams where he's discussing different trade techniques and different trades that exist out there in the world. He does all kinds of video game streams, and just like Brandon the anime guy, who attempted to bring Skyrim to his YouTube channel and it just blew up in his face.
Really?
He does some incredible gaming streams. He's doing new builds on his computers and keeps trying and trying and trying. He's just never gonna fail. He's just never gonna fail.
No,
you have to have that attitude though when you're streaming. You have to.
Well, and Brandon does have that. There's no doubt about it.
Definitely.
I think we all have it. Let's be honest. I think we all have it.
I know, but
we all have that drive that makes us want to come on here and talk about a subject matter.
Well, and to be honest, not everybody needs to be the captain of the ship.
Nope.
Okay. I have been toting myself as a cheerleader for a very long time. And when I come onto a show, like I said, I don't do much content of my own. I'm not embarrassed about it at all. I've attempted to do some of my own stuff. I plan on doing more. I'm financially not in a position to do much more than what I am doing. But when I come onto a panel, I, at the very, very least, will be first officer to the captain of the ship. I think it's my YouTube duty to support whoever I am participating with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind being second in command. I don't mind even being second in command to the engineering staff. I'll run your chat. I'll make sure. I'll look stuff up. Just ask me. I don't find that that's even a secondary position. It's an honor to do that for somebody else. They've got a hell of a lot on their own plate already, and many of these guys, Brandon, Roman, Loki, these people are running jobs. They're paying for whole households. They're raising children. They're keeping a marriage going.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a hell of a lot more than I do, Mr. Single Man living in a studio apartment in Los Angeles, than I have to be concerned about. Just feeding myself and making sure that the laundry is done. I'm a wuss in compared to some of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be more than willing to donate my time to their channel with almost no acknowledgement. Fine, just show my name on screen and let me help you get better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to be Dave Lester, being the bottom person on the Red Dwarf.
Right?
I mean, it's just I'm still having fun with it. That's the important thing. The important word, fun.
That's why I find it ironic that there's a character out there called Just Another Red Shirt and another one called Son of a Red Shirt. Okay, is it supposed to be ironic? Is it supposed to be funny? Who knows? Yeah. Does it even matter? Mm-hmm. Of course not.
Yeah. They're fun. That's all that's important.
Well, it's a reality too, because you talk about a Star Trek universe. We're all on a virtual bridge right now, heading into the Enterprise, quite literally.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I said this backstage. I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I've told Baron and I've told Cash. I consider them co-hosts for Pop Talk. Whenever they're on, they're the co-hosts. I may be the captain of the ship, but they're my number one.
I'm number two, but
I guess that means I'm number three.
Yeah, and there's another part of this too. We've seen it happen on big sites like FNT and Geeks and Gamers and Az's channel and some of the other gigantic characters out there like Critical Drinker and Mauler.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I stop by Pop's channel, all he has to do is give me the slightest hint that he expects a meme to be generated, and I will try my damnedest to have it in his DM before the end of the show, and he is always tickled pink to have any meme acknowledgement of his channel. I've done stuff for their Big Trouble in Little China stream. I did some artwork on the side for Hard Talk on his channel. Recently, there's been this transformation of Ironcaster as a total shark movie trivia buff, and I put his face into a rubber shark puppet, and he's like, I'm making that into a t-shirt and selling that shit. I'm like, it's all yours, man. I lay it on the doorstep. It's yours. So if you've got some artistic inclination and some free time, these guys would be more than happy and tickled deeply that you even bothered to play such creative games with their text, with their information. So have that, be a YouTube warrior and donate a few minutes of your time. With the technology at our fingertips, it takes but a mere few seconds and a couple of searches to put together a roughly chiseled quick art, kind of thing. And they love you for it. And the audience goes bonkers. I mean, I lit up the chat one time. It must have been like 18 lines of pure laughter. So it's an honor to be able to do that. I mean, I've been an illustrator all my life. I had no idea that this might be part of my future. So there's that too.
Yeah.
That's a whole other support layer.
Very cool.
Okay.
And I also want to thank Jet Sparks, who has been on many a panel here on Pop Talk and has his own great channel. He does his own show on Saturdays called Talking Pinheads.
Yeah, I've been on a few panels with him, that's for sure, on Raquel's channel just recently. Which reminds me, I was on a panel the other day, and I wanted to bring this up. This gentleman who I wound up bumping into, just talking about anime on Raquel, I think it's SSG 221, is it, or something like that? We were talking about anime, and I had been bringing up this concept of the fan base suing a property as a class action suit. Now, initially, it started off as an ironic twist of phrasing, because I thought it was clever and funny and ironically tragic at the same time. But when I brought it up in front of this guy, and this guy's name was Doku something or other, he said, look, I do a lot of corporate legal work, and there are actually grounds in international law for such a lawsuit to become a reality. We were talking at the time, about the new, oh, for heaven's sakes, what's the name of it? The Gum Fruit and Luffy and
One Piece.
One Piece. We were talking about the upcoming live action piece that Netflix is working on.
I'm afraid that'll be woke.
That is already getting backlash just for some of the visuals that they're producing. And I'm like, the One Piece franchise has a fan base gigantic enough that you could easily draft a class action lawsuit. And he said, you know what? If the fan base, he says that legally on paper, if the fan base is already giving you pushback universally, then, and they continue to pursue the property as a finished product, then they are actually self-sabotaging the property. And that's a breach of faith to the client, right? If we're the client, right, they're producing this for an audience, and the audience is already saying, we will fight you in court if you screw this up, and they continue to screw it up openly. He says that a lawsuit like that might actually be a reality in the near future. That something like that is a legitimate case that could be drafted. So I just want you to realize that that's the world we're living in, that legal action may actually come from a fan base, because I will remind you that Star Trek became Star Trek the Motion Picture because of the fan base. Okay? Firefly became a feature-length film to wrap up the movie called Serenity because of the fan base. We could block Babylon 5 from ever being recreated, even if the original creator is on board. We could block Berserk from being pursued as a future property because the owner is dead. We don't want you to touch the damn thing. Hands off. Enough. We're done. It's finished. We don't need to hear any more. As a fan base, we have some control in the matter. We are the economy of the thing.
Well, when the fan projects, and they should be pushed even more, and these Netflix and other companies should hire these people who are putting out these adaptations that are low budget, but it's like, well, they get it. I watched a whole, there was something called Hood Bebop. Ransom.
Netflix Bebop.
It was Hood Bebop, man. And it was a whole African American or black community of people, and guess what? They understand what the show is about.
I thought you said Netflix Bebop.
No,
not
I know
Netflix
what you're talking
That's
about.
a travesty, but
there's been
yeah,
some gangster anime live action stuff done by some very low tech work using some very, very silly camera techniques, and they're killing it. They're just freaking crucifying it on the front lawn with silly camera actions, and it works better than any adaptation I've ever seen in my life. So yeah.
Yeah, there was
we
a
deserve
Dragon
the
Ball
right.
Z fan film I think I watched. One of my friends, Spock or whatever, was showing me recently, and I said, "Oh my goodness!" Like, I don't know much about Dragon Ball Z. I've never really gotten into it, but the quality of this fan film was like, wow. Why are these people hired at this company yet? It's just
No, because we've seen the way corporations handle this sort of thing with the Star Trek stuff.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. What they'll do is they'll come in there, they'll sue your ass,
right?
And and they don't care if there's legal precedent because you need a lawyer to even prove that there's no legal precedent. Okay. This is what they call IP terrorism. They'll just throw a lawsuit at your ass and say, dig yourself out of the hole, dickhead. You know, they don't care. They just don't care.
No, or they'll just take down your stuff like they did of that person who was working on that Batman '89 game. It looked phenomenal. That was one, and they still have that footage up. I think it's still up somewhere, actually. Yeah, but just Warner Brothers, they should have encouraged him. Like, dude, go ahead. Why don't we hire this guy? Like, it's so amazing to me.
Get Gotham Knights.
Yeah, Gotham Knights is okay, but the combat's good in it. The combat's good in it from what I saw, but yeah, it's still not that. It's not grabbing you, man. I'm still waiting for those like really good comic book movies again, or even games. I'm waiting for something that just grabs me. And if it's not, give it to the fans. Give it to people who are working on Unreal Engine 5 and other stuff. Give it to and find some people who have artists and see where they go from there. But we're not in. Corporations are doing a poor job encouraging more of these fans because even the fans are like, "This is better than what Netflix is putting out."
Yeah,
because they're passionate and how much they care.
That's that's it. That's the thing that's missing. And I'll remind everybody on the panel that if it wasn't for 20th Century Fox putting pressure on George Lucas to continue to answer questions before he moved forward, we would never have Star Wars in the first place.
Right.
Okay? George Lucas, unbridled, gave us the prequels. That's him surrounded by yes men. Okay? And Marvel Comics, when they stopped getting individual creators to make their properties, started going to council rooms filled with writers, we got the fourth phase of Marvel.
Yeah.
Okay? Because Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn wasn't taking no for an answer. Okay? And that's how we got Guardians of the Galaxy. For better or for worse, Guardians of the Galaxy did something I didn't think anybody would be capable of doing. They made a tree and a raccoon two of the coolest Marvel characters ever.
Yeah.
Okay, and how did they make Falcon work? Okay, Falcon was a genius move. That character came out of nowhere and worked on screen.
Falcon was good, man, and then they have the Winter Soldier. Like, I don't want to go too deep into it, but they just ruined Falcon. He can do all this stuff. He can throw the shield. He can go underwater. You know, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's really ridiculous. Falcon was a cool character before. Why
he didn't need to become Captain America, man?
Exactly.
He didn't need
Give it to Bucky like they did in the comics.
Yep.
Give it to Bucky.
And real quick, the last person I do want to acknowledge is Joker Voice. Thank you very much, brother, for being here and having a great conversation with us on a great show that I think we all can agree that everybody should watch.
You know, we live in a strange world where Joker is a bartender in Vegas.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a symmetry to that.
I guess so. I guess so. Well, it is. Champagne.
I wonder if he does the voice for him.
I'm sure he does. Where do you think he got the idea of Joker voice? I mean, somebody must have acknowledged it straight to his face.
He could definitely do fan projects and other stuff with the Joker
He could
voice,
certainly
yeah.
do voiceovers for fan projects for sure.
It's definitely a quality Joker voice. Because I always, whenever he's come on before, I have to ask him about Batman, and he gets irritated. That's great.
But thank you all for being here tonight. I really do appreciate it. Please subscribe to all the panelists. I've put all their links in the description. And just thank you. Watch this show and you'll be amazed and you'll be entertained. So, with that being said, remember, I'm not just a baseball guy. I'm an all-around guy. You have a good night, everyone.
Night.
You're welcome. No, subscribe means that there's a Dom scribe out there.
Say good night, Baron.
Good night, Baron.